swords that a relative brought back from the war, definitely call me because you could be sitting on a fortune.
Do you have any of these? Call Donley. You know anyone that has any of these things? Call Donley and get Donley's finder's fee. Donley Auctions, 815-923-7000. Tell them Sean sent you.
The doctor's office that mixed up your files has your Social Security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info and last 3 addresses. Your info is in endless places that could accidentally expose your info to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Zero Fox Trot isn't just a brand, it's a way of life. Founded and operated by veterans, Zero Fox Trot's unique apparel and gear echoes the grit of the warrior culture. Zero Fox Trot dedicates itself to producing content, honoring the sacrifices of forgotten heroes of the past, and connecting history to the present. Embark on a journey with Zero Fox Trot today at ZeroFoxTrot.com. It's not merely our products, it's about the ethos that we embody. Rugged, resilient, and timeless.
As we near retirement age, market volatility can have an enormous impact on our lives. It's one thing if the market drops when you're 29 or 39, but if you're 59 or 69, it's a totally different story. Call us at the Wealth Management Group today, and we can help you create a plan to safeguard your nest egg in the event of market drops. Our number, 833-WMG-PLAN or invest with WMG.com.
Securities and financial planning offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. There are lots of problems with Tim Walz, Kamala Harris's vice presidential choice. He visited China 30 times on a teacher's salary. He chose the 5th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre for his wedding because he wanted a date he'd always remember. That's the day Chinese communists slaughtered pro-democracy activists. Walz delayed sending in the National Guard as Minneapolis burned during the George Floyd riots. He sent COVID patients into nursing homes, and he suggested he'd served in combat when he hasn't. But these aren't the biggest problems with Tim Walz. The biggest problem with Tim Walz is that despite all of this, Kamala Harris chose him anyway. Few Americans cast their vote based on the vice presidential candidate, but that candidate tells us plenty about the views and priorities of the presidential nominee. Walz tells us nothing good about Kamala Harris. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, Chicago is ready to host the convention. That's what John Robertson, who is the COO of the big city, has to say.
The city of Chicago is ready to host the 2024 Democratic National Convention.
There you go. Good. It's good enough for me. It's good enough for you. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Will you be getting an up-close and personal look at Days of Rage Part 2 starting Monday?
Yeah. Anybody going down to the city?
Well, you are.
Oh, I am. I got my credentials for the DNC.
What do you want Amy to do in terms of her MOS responsibilities? Yeah. You know, the man on the street events, the man on the street interactions. Maybe you'd like to see her join in some of the looting. I don't know, but I can only anticipate.
Protest zones, so reporters can be by the protesters. And then there's 3 other zones. There's McCormick Place where they're having breakout sessions. And then there's the big events at the United Center.
Oh, they folded up all those COVID beds finally, McCormick Place, so that's usable again. That's good. Well,
yes,
Chief Snelling, the police superintendent, that's Superintendent Snelling to you, they'll have eyes and ears everywhere, he says.
We have eyes and ears on everything that we possibly can in that location. And we're working with our federal partners to ensure that we don't have a major incident occur in that area.
Oh, I feel safe now.
Yeah, it was a big safety briefing yesterday. Secret Service is involved, so that's good news.
Well, they've been here for months preparing for this.
Of course.
Fingerprinting reporters, taking pictures, getting ready for the whole thing.
The lineup, the exciting lineup, your featured speakers, Monday, President Joe Biden.
Wait, that guy's coming back?
Is he still the president? President Joe Biden on Monday and SOS Clinton.
Wait. They gave Biden a Monday? That's a bad sign. That's like, and Chug the comeback clown is going to be on it.
Got to get him out of the way while nobody's, still people are still stretching and just getting into it. And by Tuesday, he'll be a distant memory as he is currently. Tuesday is the one.
Who?
The one.
You mean, Barack Obama?
Yeah. He's going to come see how Obama land is developing.
By the way, I called about the noose. Or not call. I sent an email saying, has there been any update on the white noose that was the rope?
Yeah, at Obama land.
Yeah, nothing yet.
$100,000 reward still out there.
I know.
Mm-hmm. It would have been nice if they could have timed this such that the ribbon cutting for Obama land could have coincided with the DNC in his big speech. Maybe he'll tell us there's no red America, there's no blue America again. Wednesday, of course, that would be the VP, and then you get Bill Clinton, you get both Clintons.
Oh, on Wednesday?
Yeah, and then Thursday, of course, the nominee that would be Harris. So Biden, Clinton, Obama, Walz, Clinton, Harris.
You forgot somebody. Jimmy Carter's grandson's going to be speaking.
Well, I didn't forget him. I'm just saying who's featured. I mean,
right? No, he's going to be featured one night.
It's the last 3 to 5 decades, depending on how you're counting, of the Democrat Socialist Party, all jammed into 4 days. Won't that be fun?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that same line, and you do not have to put in DA before you leave a comment.
I saw some of the local reporting, scare quotes, such as it is, just doing the typical sort of man on the street stuff, talking to businesses, particularly in the West Loop. Are you staying open or are you closing down? It seems like it was a split decision. If it was me, it would not be a split decision. It would be
close down and board up,
and my own security team to protect my property. That's what I would do.
People who live in the zone, a lot of them were told, if this is a good time to go on vacation. My friend that lives near the United Center, her alderman told her this would be a good time for you to leave.
Yeah.
You have people live where.
Well, this is there's a little bit of street savvy here because we've been through this a few dozen times. I mean, there are people like in inner ring suburbs that are leaving the general vicinity. I mean, I think Charles Thomas, our friend Charles Thomas, he lives in West Loop. I think he's staying, but I think he's also got a counter sniper team. that
we
is
should
on
check
top
in
of
with
his
him every
building.
day
Yeah.
to see how he's doing. I know that CPS is shutting every building down at noon. Nobody can practice after noon.
Well,
And
those
told
are
to
all
go
those
home.
are all junior activists. They have to earn their merit badges by going out with the pro-Hamas protesters and I don't know, Stacey Davis Gates demanding what's the new living wage now? Is it $25 an hour? Is it 30? I don't know. Obviously, an immediate ceasefire and Israel which is an apartheid state, to abdicate their land and turn it over to the Palestinians. That has to happen tomorrow. What are the other demands?
Well, housing for teachers who can't afford housing.
Well, I mean, that's the CTU demand.
Right.
Yeah, CTU contract. I'm talking about the demands of
the demands of
this collection of anarchists and communists, I repeat myself, that are going to descend on the city. Everybody's got their sort of pet demand with respect to other people's stuff. Matt in Mount Greenwood, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I occasionally need to meet with the representatives of various insurance companies, and they are telling their employees they had to reschedule our monthly appointments to stay out of the city of Chicago. The large insurance carriers are warning their employees to stay out. We should probably heed that advice.
Yeah.
Thanks for the call, Matt.
Something's going on. I mean, for them to.
Something's going on. What do you mean?
No, they told us everyone's got to be out. Like, they're shutting down the buildings at noon and told that everyone should go home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think there's going to be some violence on the streets.
Well, right. That's what they're anticipating. They won't say it that way, but that's, of course, what they're anticipating, because we pretend that we don't live down to the lowest common denominator. It's all high-minded stuff about the balancing of rights and responsibilities and protecting people and so on and so forth. I like watching the border fencing go up, because it reminds us that there is one border fence that these open borders Bolsheviks support, and that's the border fence to keep the people away from them, particularly their supporters, who they're deathly afraid of. David in Lansing.
Hi, Dan. I just turned the radio on. Forgive me. I missed a lot of your show. I just caught the last 2 minutes. Two quick questions. I heard you say Obama Land. Is that like a new sub-park of Disney? Is it like East Germany? And my second question is, why is it that I hear like groups of Democrats and it goes together with riot gear? Like those two things always go together. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for the call, Dave. Yeah, it is funny how that, right, a gathering of the Democratic Party and riot gear are things that belong in the same sentence. Yeah.
They're expecting 30,000 more protesters than were at the RNC.
Yeah.
So,
well, right, because this is the party that these new Bolsheviks can extract concessions from. I mean, they're in federal court. They've been in federal court for weeks trying to do it with respect to where they're sort of legally allowed to protest. And I assume that Superintendent Snelling and those with public safety responsibilities are savvy enough to know that this is a group that is willing to color outside the lines.
Yeah.
So your designated protest zones are very cute, but there's going to be moments where we're going to find out what police really are able to do, what they're authorized to do, because this is just not a group. And now, as you say, it's in the tens of thousands that follows instructions particularly well, to say the least.
coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, we'll turn our attention to the Avoidant Harris-Walz campaign in advance of next week's big speeches, 5:38.
Little Timmy was on his own yesterday, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
It's 5:29 on AM 560. The Answer, former President Donald Trump holding another rally in North Carolina. He will deliver remarks on the economy. Fox's Mike Emanuel is on the scene.
Former President Trump's expected to travel from Florida to Asheville, North Carolina today. His running mate, J.D. Vance, will speak to a rally in battleground Michigan in Byron Center in the southwest region of Grand Rapids. Today's focus for the former president will be, of course, on the economy. On the other side, Harris's running mate, Tim Walz, did his first solo event in front of a union audience. Harris has no public events today, and her campaign has taken some heat for her limited activity. Trump and Vance in North Carolina and Michigan expect plenty more of that down the final stretch of this campaign.
Harris will travel to Raleigh, North Carolina on Friday for her own campaign event on the economy. Hardline progressive Congresswoman Ilhan Omar one step closer to keeping her seat in the House, winning a primary in Minnesota.
We know it is joyful to want to live in a peaceful and equitable world.
Congresswoman Omar successfully defeating Minneapolis City Council member Don Samuels. She narrowly defeated him in 2022. The Biden administration approving a nearly $20 billion weapons sale to Israel. The deal including F-15 fighter jets and serious air-to-air missile and tactical vehicle sales. Arizona could have the opportunity to establish a fundamental right to abortion, the state says, as the Secretary of State believes a measure that would do so has enough signatures to make the November ballot. A federal judge siding with Chicago pro-Palestinian leaders, with the city of Chicago against pro-Palestinian leaders in the legal battle with groups planning to protest during the DNC.
We are not giving up. We've got 6 days to get a semblance of a route that we believe the city will want to negotiate with us. We will get our permit for Union Park. We will have our protest.
Parking restrictions that popped up Tuesday were a big surprise to Westside residents, and the alderman there said measures were not discussed in meetings with law enforcement.
That's insane and inhumane and inconsiderate for people who live in this neighborhood.
27th Ward Alderman Walter Burnett woke up to angry residents phoning him about signs plastering poles after meetings saying they would not be impacted during the DNC.
They think somebody moved too fast, too far. So I'm hoping that we will get some relief now.
Already signs are coming down after pushback from Burnett. And security around the United Center ramps up with the convention now less than 1 week away.
I'm confident that our plan will provide a safe and secure environment during the DNC.
That's Derek Mayer with the Secret Service. Still, aldermen and women are looking for additional police resources in neighborhoods not directly impacted by DNC traffic and security. The DuPage County coroner is identifying 3 people killed in an apparent murder-suicide last week in Woodridge. Jose Munoz and Moses Rogers were found shot to death last Friday. A third man also found at the scene. Terrence Suggs Nichols had suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. He died later at a nearby hospital. And the Illinois Department of Public Health confirms the first human case of West Nile virus in Will County this year. The individual, a resident in their 70s. Cubs lost to Cleveland 2-1, while the White Sox are back in the loss column after a 4-1 defeat at the hands of the Yankees. The News Service of Health Insurance Mentors. Call Stephen Tucker today for free Medicare advice, 630-674-1551 for healthinsurancementors.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk believes the rot runs deep.
As we marched through these institutions for many years, I soon realized, one after the other, the rot that our institutions have been experiencing. The infection that is present, the tumor within the once great institutions in Washington, D.C.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're looking for a caring dentist and an experienced dental staff who'll treat you like family, then it's time to call Dr. Y at Oak Lawn Dental LLC. Dr. Yorks and his team will create a smile that you'll want to share with family and friends. Go to oaklawndentist.com for a complete list of services or call Oak Lawn Dental for an appointment with Dr. Y at 708-424-5700. And for a limited time, get a $100 credit on your new account. Call 708-424-5700. Oak Lawn Dental LLC for the smile you deserve.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
If you're a local business and ready for the next step, visit surroundchicago.com right now. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level. Visit surroundchicago.com today.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
537, quick check on the roads. Of course, in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service this hour of Valdecas Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service. Contact Valdecas Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor at Valdecas.com. Jane Addams, the only problem spot right now, vehicle fire. A right off-ramp lane is closed. It's westbound, right at Meacham. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Pleasant day ahead, blend of sun and clouds, high 86. Clouds on the increase overnight, maybe a late evening shower, and a low of 68. Clear right now, 66 at O'Hare, 70 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, by the way, we were just talking about the convention next week. The New Bolshevik Party's got their convention in Chicago. I don't know if you've heard. And be sure, if you're going to the convention, you too, Amy, that you have a identification card, because like a driver's license or something, because also, like, they like border fencing to separate themselves from the supporters of whom they are deathly afraid. I'm talking about the New Bolsheviks. They also demand identification for access or, Somebody
just text message, Danny, you live in the zone. Don't forget that you need an ID to get in, but you don't need an ID to vote.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And wait, are we clear on what you're doing, by the way?
I mean, I'm I'm up for suggestions.
You have a press credential.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I could go and watch Monday night. I really don't want to see Biden. But then again,
No, you go.
I should go because
See if you might be the only one who wants to talk to him. You may get an exclusive.
I don't know about
Why don't you heckle Hillary?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And just do what?
She's
Lock her up. Just sit there.
You start the one woman lock her up chant at the DNC. See how that goes. That'd be fun.
Oh.
All right. Well, speaking of the featured act at next week's New Bolshevik Party convention, that would be Mamala and Tampon Tim. Tampon Tim was in L.A. before a very friendly audience.
Oh, yeah.
A friendly audience of state and local government workers, AFSCME. And he finally directly addressed these accusations that he is guilty of stealing valor.
Yeah, at first he said he was proud of his 24 years in the Minnesota National Guard.
I'm going to say it again as clearly as I can. I am damn proud of my service to this country.
And then he talked about, the tax on him from J.D. Vance, because it's J.D. Vance's fault. You know what I'm saying? It's not that he got caught or that he did it. Here's what he said to the group.
And I firmly believe you should never denigrate another person's service record. To anyone brave enough to put on that uniform for our great country, including my opponent, I just have a few simple words. Thank you for your service and sacrifice.
That's it. Nothing to see here. All done.
It's a nice try, but that's not good enough. Yeah, you don't denigrate somebody's service record, but we're not denigrating his service record. We're saying you're lying about your service record. That's not denigrating what you did. It's suggesting that you're saying you did things or intimating that you did things that you didn't do. Well, that's a very different thing.
Yeah, and the stolen valor. I mean, he claimed, and the Harris campaign, Dan, put this video out, saying that he carried weapons in war, in the theater of war.
And we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
Yeah, I mean, again, his one overseas deployment was to Italy in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, and that's all well and good. His guard unit got called up, and he did this deployment. Great. But carried weapons of war into war. The into war. I'm sure he was armed. I'm sure he's been armed before. But when you say, I've carried weapons of war into war, and you're not in a theater of battle, unless Italy was, and I missed it, then that's an intentionally misleading statement, and he knows it. And he used that phrase in the context of promoting gun control. Because this is, the symmetry they were looking for. So I'll just stretch it a little bit. And he's, it's just like, I'll just stretch it a little bit, talking about the rank that he achieved in retirement. I'll just stretch it a little bit here and stretch it a little bit there in terms of how I characterize what I did. And it's not right, and it's not me saying it alone. It's a lot of people who served as well, who served honorably, just like J.D. Vance, or just like he did, as far as I know, with the exception of how he's characterizing things that he didn't do. That's it. But they concoct this public story about themselves, and then when there are questions about it, they give you the hi hat. This is the way to get out of it. I'm just another humble public servant, humble veteran who served his country honorably, and let's just all come together and say, thank you, all veterans, for your service. Yes, thank you, all veterans, for your service and sacrifice. Of course, all of those who served honorably.
And then they wanted to go away. I mean,
but you don't get to say or insinuate things that aren't true, and just paper over it with a generic thank you. This is sort of the same thing as when you see people take sort of general responsibility. This agency takes full responsibility for what happened, but nobody's individually responsible. I take full responsibility for what happened, but there's no consequences for me. That's sort of what this is. Like, let's just everybody agree on this so that I don't have to take specific responsibility. I don't have to be held accountable for what I individually am doing. I'm just part of the collective that did it right.
We didn't even have to do opposition research on him because the Harris campaign released that video themselves. So who's vetting the vetter? No one is. And J.D. Vance, when he was on CNN, spoke about Walz because J.D. Vance is a Marine.
Donald Trump didn't serve in the military. He received a medical draft deferment for bone spurs to avoid serving in the Vietnam War, reportedly as a favor to his father. Do you find that shameful, too?
I think that Donald Trump didn't serve in the military, but he didn't lie about it, Dana. I've known Donald Trump for a long time. He really honors our veterans. He honors me for my service. Donald Trump didn't lie about serving in the military. He didn't say that he went to Vietnam when he didn't. This is the problem. I don't criticize anybody. Whether they served our country or not, I think it's honorable to serve, but obviously a lot of people have reasons for not serving. I criticize somebody for embellishing their record, for lying, saying, I went to war. Dana, do you think that it's a problem that he said, I went to war, but he didn't actually? That seems to be a problem to me.
Well, they've corrected that. Let's move on to...
They corrected it by admitting that he lied.
Let's move on to another
Well, no, they said that he
misspoke. And that is the issue of abortion.
They came out and had a statement just saying
That's
that he
not
misspoke, but that's not...
He's not correcting it. That's not correcting it, and that's not the only instance of it. We've gone through this, and Jordan Schachtel, independent journalist, poured over some of the reporting on this over the last almost 2 decades, because, I mean, this bubbled up to the surface when he first started running for public office, when he was running for Congress. And, oh, by the way, as we brought to you before, we can do it again, you have guys who served with him. We're not quite swift boat veterans for truth here, a la John Kerry, but you have guys that served with him that are also upset about this, that know that we're there with him in the unit. They know what he did and didn't do. They know what he said, and they've got issues with it, and they've spoken publicly about those issues. So are we going to be thanking them for their service and sacrifice too, particularly those members of his National Guard unit that actually did go to war, that actually did go in theater in Iraq when they were called up?
And he
so
retired.
they have some things to say too, and we're just supposed to gloss over his brothers in arms and what they're saying about what he is saying about his service.
312-642-5600, or you could text us on that same line.
No, this is not going to go away easily, and nor should it. And again, we've had stories like this before, including on the Republican side. And I was happy to challenge Mark Kirk's mischaracterization of his military service as U.S. Senator, and he had to walk that back substantially after all other options were exhausted. Some of the things he said that were inaccurate about his service. It's not denigrating his service, but it's you're not allowed to be sort of brazenly inaccurate about it. And by the way, you note, because this is what politicians do, the inaccuracies are always in one direction. Nobody understates their service. When they make a mistake or they misspeak, it's always overstating. Isn't that interesting? Nate in Schiller Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dan and Amy, good morning. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Real quick, so Tampon Tim, here's the thing. He said nobody who serves should denigrate somebody else's service who served. I did just shy of 27 months in Iraq, and I'll tell you what, anybody who claims to have been in theater and that wasn't, it's just disgusting, and it is stolen valor. Literally, that's it. You're right, Dan. At the end of the day, it is stolen valor all day, and there's no excuse, and he hasn't owned it. He's never going to.
Thanks for the call, Nate, and for your service. Marty in Naperville.
Good morning. Great show as usual. Dan, this is exactly what you said is correct, and this is what we're up against. Nobody denigrated his service, but that's all he has to say, and the flock follows him. Kamala Harris. Well, on my first day of office, I'm going through blank, blank, blank. She's been in office 3.5 years, and they just follow her. She's going to fix what's broken. Well, who the hell broke it? You got to understand what we are up against.
Marty, we need to make a clean break from this administration with Kamala Harris.
Yeah, and these people follow it, Dan. They love this woman. 2 months ago, this woman was, a 1%er. Now she's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Thanks for the call,
I'm just
Marty.
waiting for this honeymoon period to end. It's day 24, by the way, since she kicked Biden or they kicked Biden out or off the ticket. And she hasn't spoken to the media yet. Wait till she opens her mouth.
John, Grays Lake.
Hey, Dan and Amy, thanks for taking the call. Current law enforcement, you see similar things in this field with people who embellish their record or embellish their service or lie altogether. Regardless, I don't know why anybody's not pointing out the obvious that you do lose all credibility when you put tampons in boys' bathrooms. But to me, that's kind of where it all comes to an end.
Yeah.
Tampon Tim?
It's a disqualifying event. Yeah, I agree. Ryan Schomburg.
Hi, I was just calling to see if you guys could play the tape where Tim Walz actually says that he was in war. I mean, we keep on going over this stuff. I didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, here you go. Listen up.
And we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
You good now?
All right. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of out of context, but that's fair, I guess.
It's not out of context. How is that out of context?
Well,
that's one clip. That's like all you have. Is that out of his full like?
Well, he said he retired at a higher rank than he actually did. And then there's another point of contention that he retired, and he knew darn well that they were going to be deployed to Iraq. But he was running for Congress at the time.
That's not so. That's not so.
I do appreciate the conversation about that, but I was just like, I actually thought that from what I had read and reported that he had like went and tried to run for Congress and put in his notification or whatever to do that before they even knew they were going to Iraq.
No, the unit knew. I mean, people that were interviewed that were part of that. He was in charge of 500 people, and then he just got up and left. To further his own career for Congress, which you do have a right to do, but you can't retire at the rank that he was because he didn't do the work.
You can't, but he did. I mean, it's just strange to me. I feel like we're just like drawing at straws. Like I understand there's I don't know. I'm just trying to. I'm looking for more like bolstering information as to try to see how he's getting labeled with the stolen valor. I just think there's other things that could maybe be criticized for, but like of all the people, it just doesn't seem like he's the person that really. It just seems like he's getting mischaracterized.
Okay, thanks for the call, Ryan. Well, I'll bring back some of the other reporting from over the years where the statements are intentionally misleading. They have to be. The attempt to mislead has to be intentional. You just don't make these sort of consistent misstatements in one direction about your service record. These are not accidents. And by the way, it also fits a profile too. It fits a profile of people who are fake and fabulists. And Kamala is like that with her freedom story that she plagiarized from Martin Luther King, just as Biden spent a career being a plagiarist and a profligate liar in the direction of fabulism, things that he didn't accomplish, people that are, for all anybody knows, are completely fictional, incidents that didn't occur. So, there is this sort of profile that these sort of intentionally misleading. I don't want to be explicit. I don't want to say, I don't want to say I was awarded the Medal of Honor or something like this that's so obviously disprovable. So I'll just sort of insinuate my combat veteran status by saying intentionally misleading things about my service record. And that is stolen valor. I think people that in the military who do these sort of stolen valor investigations will agree with that assessment. Larry in Elmhurst, you're in Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. If he says he was a marine biologist, then we know he's using a Seinfeld playbook. But he looks like George would look like if he was about 80 years old. He's just an angry man. He's just a miserable person.
Thanks for the call.
Got a
Larry.
text message, Dan and Amy. The service is the tip of the iceberg. Underneath is a horrid Marxist. It's John from Logan Square.
Well, right. I mean, this is not the only issue, but it is a legitimate issue, and it's a character issue. So I hear character issues raised about Trump and other Republicans all the time. but for some reason we're supposed to just ignore any character issues. The profligate lying and fabulism that emanates from the mouths of people like Biden and Harris and Walz.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Right now, Bettenhausen has 0% on new Jeeps during the Make This the Summer event at Bettenhausen Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, now open on 159th Street in Lockport. Celebrate summer with a new Jeep. Bettenhausen has 0% financing available on new Jeep Cherokees, new Jeep Wranglers, or new Jeep Compasses. Hurry into Bettenhausen in Lockport. Your best Jeep buying experience starts now at Bettenhausen. Showroom open 24/7 at cdjroflockport.com.
Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions and you'll destroy your life. Listen to The Flot Line with Rick Hughes this Sunday morning at 7. The Flot Line describes a main line of resistance in your soul built on God's Word. Listen this Sunday for inspiration, motivation, education, all without manipulation. That's The Flot Line with Rick Hughes this Sunday morning at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's spectrios.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
Attention college and university students, introducing 2 brand new revolutionary books published in chemistry and physiology that'll make both easier to understand. The first book, entitled New and Effective Method for Solving General Chemistry Problems, details an amazing method that simplifies chemistry problems down to fractions of multiplication and division. Students, you no longer need to memorize and use any chemical formula. The second book, entitled The Only True Outline of Physiology, reduces an entire 300-page physiology textbook down to 105 pages by eliminating excessive wordage that can be time-consuming and confusing. The Only True Outline of Physiology underlines the information most likely to be asked on exams and helps you better understand the principles of physiology. For more details on either book, visit Zarantos-Publishing.com. Both are available on Amazon or at Zarantos-Publishing.com in a digital format and in print form upon request. Say goodbye to confusing chemistry and physiology content. Get these books today. That's Zarantos-Publishing.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
Sean Parnell, he's a combat veteran. He had a good tweet on Walz and what he said yesterday. No one is denigrating his actual service, but Walz did denigrate it himself by lying. He could have said he was a retired E8, would have been fine. He didn't. He also abandoned his troops just prior to them going into combat, and while they fought, bled, and died, he acted like he was there, all in order to help him win a campaign. That's the issue.
And he
Not his
campaigned on
service.
that. Yeah.
And again, that one of the other lies was retired command master sergeant, and he wasn't.
Right. And he used that when he was campaigning for Congress and for governor of Minnesota.
But these are still happy days for Tim Walz because Brotherly Love Spice, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, narrowly won her primary yesterday. And of course, this is what Tim Walz says about her.
Something I'll never get tired of saying, I think all of you, Congresswoman Omar, wonderful. Doesn't that sound? When I'm having a tough day or I'm out on about mile 5 of my run and I'm feeling kind of down and the world's pressing on me, I think Ilhan Omar's a congresswoman, and it just brightens you up. So thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Knowing that there's a virulent anti-Semite representing part of my state really puts a kick in my step.
5 miles? Okay, it's 6 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
She survived her challenge
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar wins a Democratic primary in Minnesota.
We run the politics of joy. That's right. Because we know it is joyful to fight for your neighbors.
Omar's win comes after two other House Progressive Squad members lost primaries this year. Vice President Harris's running mate Tim Walz campaigned at a union event in Los Angeles.
We know how to do this. We've got 84 days to take control of our own destiny.
Fox's Mike Emanuel reports.
A new poll out this morning from the Financial Times and the University of Michigan's Ross School of Business says 60% of voters want Harris to abandon Bidenomics. As former President Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance travel battleground states, there is no surprise the former president is emphasizing economic issues.
There will be a Trump rally today in North Carolina while running mate J.D. Vance campaigns in Michigan. Former Trump rival in the Republican primaries, Nikki Haley, tells Fox they have to stop worrying about Harris being their new Democratic rival and avoiding the press.
Quit whining about her. We knew it was going to be her. She's not going to give an interview.
3 years ago today, as American troops were withdrawing from Afghanistan, the Taliban took back control of the country, and they're celebrating that today.
Parading around Bagram Air Base, hundreds of people, including Chinese and Iranian diplomats, gathering at the base with helicopters bringing in senior Taliban officials. Amongst them, we saw many U.S. weapons, and it is a reminder that during that chaotic withdrawal, 600,000 U.S. weapons were left.
Fox's Benjamin Hall. Tropical storm Ernesto is hitting the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. Fox Weather's Nicole Valdez is in San Juan.
Flash flood warnings issued across the island, and some 300,000 people are already without power. This is truly just the beginning of heavy downpours we expect to continue.
Ernesto's forecast to grow into a hurricane, perhaps hit Bermuda this weekend. America's listening to Fox News.
6:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. We're watching breaking news and a developing story in Chicago's West Loop. It's Green Street near Randolph. It's a level 2 hazardous materials fire as flames from an underground fire have reportedly now reached the surface. A hotel on site has been evacuated. That is Green and Randolph in the West Loop of the city of Chicago. Federal judge is siding with Chicago leaders in their legal battle with groups planning to protest during the DNC next week.
We are not giving up. We've got 6 days to get a semblance of a route that we believe the city will want to negotiate with us. We will get our permit for Union Park. We will have our protests.
The judge deciding not to force the city to alter the path it offered to groups aiming to protest. Security around the United Center this morning continues to ramp up, with the convention now less than 1 week away.
I'm confident that our plan will provide a safe and secure environment during the DNC.
Derek Mayer with the Secret Service and Police Superintendent Larry Snelling trying to calm fears that much of the rest of the city of Chicago will be left unprotected by police, including Michigan Avenue.
We have eyes and ears on everything that we possibly can in that location. And we're working with our federal partners to ensure that we don't have a major incident occur in that area.
In other news we're following, Rosemont has enacted a new ban on sleeping in public. The ordinance comes after the Supreme Court ruled that municipalities do not violate the Eighth Amendment's cruel and unusual punishment clause by enforcing bans on people sleeping outside in public spaces. Chicago sports. Cubs had 5 hits and a 2-1 loss to Cleveland. White Sox back in the loss column after a 4-1 defeat at the hands of the Yankees. Little League's biggest event begins today, the World Series in Williamsport. Hinsdale will play, according to the schedule, Friday at 2 p.m. against the winner of the West against New England. That's New Hampshire against Hawaii. The news service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher lays out Kamala's record.
They want you to forget.
that she was in the job in the first place because of diversity, equity, and inclusion. They don't want you to remember that, just like they don't want you to remember that she was the border czar. They're memory holing us. They want to change who she is. And they cannot escape the fact that she got the job because of DEI.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
It is no coincidence that our present troubles parallel and are proportionate to the intervention and intrusion in our lives that result from unnecessary and excessive growth of government. It is time for us to realize that we're too great a nation to limit ourselves to small dreams. We're not, as some would have us believe, doomed to an inevitable decline. I do not believe in a fate that will fall on us no matter what we do. I do believe in a fate that will fall on us if we do nothing. So with all the creative energy at our command, let us begin an era of national renewal. Let us renew our determination, our courage, and our strength. And let us renew our faith and our hope.
This moment in American history has been brought to you by Earthworks. To learn more today, visit them at earthworksinc.com.
For anyone living with everyday aches and pains, there's a lot of things you can try. You know, tough it out, bite the bullet, grin and bear it. Or you can try something that has helped so many other people, Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that addresses the inflammation where pain starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain for a short time. It helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. Wherever you're hurting, your back, neck, joints, or muscles, in about 3 weeks or less, you'll see a difference and rediscover what it's like to feel better and live better. So if everyday pain is affecting your life, don't go with the mind over matter approach. Try Relief Factor instead. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
6:08, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. It is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. West Loop, serious fire, Randolph near Green. Not exactly near Green, but we'll call it that right now. I'm looking at a map. The Nobu Hotel is the hotel that many are talking about right now that's being evacuated on site. Flames from an underground fire have reached the surface, and it is a level 2 hazardous materials. So as you're traveling in that area, Randolph and Lake, Randolph and Green, all shut down right now by emergency equipment, and evacuations are going on in the West Loop this morning. We're watching Oak Lawn. You have an accident central between 89th and 88th that police are on scene. And the Veterans with an accident. I-355 northbound. It's on the off-ramp to I-88 westbound. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. with Steve Williams.
Sun and clouds, a nice day. High today 86. Clouds and showers late tonight. Low 68. Clouds are not as warm but humid. Shower to heavy thunderstorm tomorrow. Could get some flash flooding and some damaging wind. The high tomorrow at 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
66 and clear at O'Hare. We have fog in Waukegan, 63. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I don't want to belabor the point, but since one of the jurors wanted to refresh his recollection of some of the evidence, testimony, Ryan from Schaumburg, I'm talking about, who called when we were talking last hour about Tim Walz and stolen valor claims. There's a couple more things just to refresh everybody's recollection, since Tim Walz chose to try to paper over all of this yesterday rather than address it or just walk it back. You know, there are times I said things that were inaccurate, and I apologize for leaving people with the impression that I did something I didn't do. Can't say that, so he does the hi-hat, tries to come over the top. I say thank every veteran for their service and sacrifice, and let's just leave it at that. Let's not just leave it at that, because some of those who served with Tim Walz don't want to leave it at that. Now, some others are defending Tim Walz too, of course, because this is politics. Tom Behrens is one of those who served with Tim Walz, and this is an interview from several years back when he was running for governor. And this is what he says.
Back in 2005, a warning order went out to the 1st Battalion, 125th Field Artillery to mobilize for a mission to Iraq. At the time, Walz served as the unit's highest non-commissioned officer, but months later, Walz would retire from the Guard, avoid the deployment, and run for Congress. Tom Behrens was next in line for the position and was asked to take his place.
I was like, well, for Pete's sake, if this guy quit, and if I say I'm not going to do it, I mean, what the hell kind of leadership is that? If a company would say that we're going to deploy to Iraq or somewhere and you're going to be gone for whatever amount of time, and then the foreman just says, no, I'm not going. I mean, what does that say to the 500 people that work in that factory?
Behrens would go on to serve in Iraq on a nearly 2-year deployment as a command sergeant major. All while Walz began using that title as a congressman. Behrens says he first contacted Walz with his concerns, sending these letters to Washington. They all went unanswered. But then we fast forward to the election in 2018 in Minnesota, and you try at that time to get people's attention with this story and also with what seems to be a very misleading statement that he continued to make about his service.
It kind of just sat there. You know, when he was a congressman, he bragged that he was a command sergeant, retired command sergeant major. I'm the highest ranking person ever in the House, and you know, all this lie that he was telling. The state of Minnesota came out after 2018, after this was exposed, and they said, well, he can say that he served as a command sergeant major, but he can't say he's a retired one because he's not.
And that's what he was saying.
And he was saying that, and there was lots of lots of cards coming in the mail, for him to be elected. They said right on there he's a retired command sergeant major, just tooting his own horn, just hanging on the coattails of people that actually are command sergeant majors that went through all the process and put all the time in.
A spokesperson for the Minnesota National Guard said Walz wasn't able to retire as a command sergeant major since he failed to complete coursework and requirements related to the rank. Verified documents show the Army corrected his service record. Walz was reduced in rank to an E8 Master Sergeant after retirement and his conditional promotion.
So he's knowingly by the way, that was Alpha News reporting. But he's knowingly misrepresenting his rank over and over again. He's doing it on political campaign mailers, as you heard Tom Behrens say. He's saying it. He obviously knows the difference. He's 24 years in the National Guard. So it's not just for now saying weapons of war like I carried into war and parsing his statements. It's also a record of misrepresentation. And Behrens goes on to say this.
It's stolen valor is really what it is. I don't know of anybody else that's done what he's done. But we called it The Truth About Tim Walz.
In 2018, Behrens gave the story the full court press.
We, retired command sergeant majors of the Minnesota National Guard, feel it is our duty and responsibility to bring forth the truth as we know it concerning his service record. I put together information on it and I sent it out to every single radio station and newspaper and TV station I could in the state. The bottom line in all of this is gut-wrenching and sad to explain. When the nation called, he quit.
And again, his decision to retire is not a stolen valor issue. It may be a leadership issue, but it's not a stolen valor issue. The other things that Tom Behrens says are stolen valor issues. One other matter, and this is what I was referring to before, Jordan Schachtel's reporting over at his Substack, The Dossier. And this is, again, from coverage of Tim Walz as he is trying to make his way up the political ranks. Joshua Green wrote a couple of puff pieces for Tim Walz when he was at The Atlantic. He's now at Bloomberg. In one of them, Walz recounts a story. Here we go again. You know, the stories, these Horatio Alger stories, or these stories designed to curry favor with a particular constituency you need at the time. You just see this over and over again with politicians of a certain sort. Walz tells Joshua Green, writing for The Atlantic at the time, about a story where he allegedly, stood up to President Bush and his war on terrorism. This is from Green's piece. His challenge prompted a KGB-style interrogation that was sadly characteristic of Bush campaign events. Do you support the president? Walz refused to answer. Do you oppose the president? Walz replied that it was no one's business but his own. He later learned that his wife was informed that a Secret Service agent might arrest him. Walz thought for a moment and asked the Bush staffers if they really wanted to arrest a command sergeant major who just returned from fighting the war on terrorism. This is all about how he's out there protesting with the, anti-war protesters, the Bush administration at the time. So you could, and I haven't seen Walz repudiate Joshua Green's reporting. So he told the Bush staffers, this is Joshua Green saying this is what Walz told him, told the Bush staffers, do they really want to arrest a command sergeant major who just returned from fighting the war on terrorism? Okay, you're starting to see the pattern. You're starting to see the problem here with Tim Walz. One of the problems, but a big one. I think so. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to, it was fair of our caller, Ryan Schomburg, and I'm glad he called, to say, give me more, give me the full record. Yeah, I get it. Not everybody's tuned in. We're going to have to probably give the full record and add to it as we go along over the last 80-plus days of the campaign. That's fine. It's fair. So there it is. Make your own decision. I wanted to get to this other matter, though, too. We've been talking quite a bit about the violence, the protesting, the crackdown on thought and speech in the UK. This, in particular, since October 7th, but even more recently, after this mass stabbing event in which 3 little girls, ages 6, 7, and 9, were murdered, and 8 others were injured. Douglas Murray and the Free Press, Douglas Murray, the author and commentator, he's very good. He's written a book, The Strange Death of Europe, Immigration, Identity, and Islam. It's a good read. But this story that we've been talking about, there's an angle to it that I don't think has gotten enough attention. Because there's some texture here. The story in this town in the northwest part of the UK, where the mass stabbing event occurred on July 29th. This was at the hands of a 17-year-old who is the son of Rwandan asylees. So his family came over during the Rwanda genocide. They were given asylum by the UK, so legitimately came over. And then he was, they had him while in England. So he's, so the alleged perpetrator here is neither Muslim nor an immigrant. And the problem started, one of the problems started when the response to the news that started to circle around that he was a Muslim and an immigrant, and sort of the supposition that he perhaps was an illegal immigrant because of the open borders policy. This is where people's minds immediately go. But he's not a Muslim or an immigrant. And what you had was some people in response to that attacked local mosques. In both Belfast and Bristol, towns across the UK, mobs gathered to harass migrant centers, attack mosques, and even in some cases burn police vehicles. And that's not justified. Do you see the difference? Do you hear that on the left? Anybody? Did you hear any rationalizations for that kind of violence? Attacking a mosque or a migrant center or burning public or private property? No, there's no defense for it. You see how easy that is to draw that line? See if they're able to draw it with whatever may come next week when the parade of horror or of horribles comes to town. Anyway, and the editors over at Free Press go on to characterize what occurred. The working-class rioters then catalyzed others. The counter-mobs were composed of Muslim men, some wielding hammers and knives, who were spoiling for a fight. It's very clear who started this, the brutes who went hunting for migrants and Muslims. But the violent breakdown is not a 2-week-old story. It's a tragedy years in the making and one with many authors. Namely, it's the story of a governing class that offered few answers as immigration took off and ignored a population that at every turn voted against it. Almost everyone ignored the powder keg primed to explode because the price of noticing it was to be called a racist and a xenophobe. And this is an interesting perspective. The editorial in the Free Press goes on to say, don't take our word for it. Listen to what Nadim Sawari, who fled Saddam's death squads as a boy only to become Britain's Chancellor of the Exchequer, wrote last week. There's a story. Wow. This is what Nadim Zahawi, again, fled Saddam Hussein's death squads, became Britain's Chancellor of the Exchequer. This xenophobic, racist society. Yeah, okay. Here's what he wrote. The warning signs have been present for years, but every person who tried to tiptoe through the minefield of topics pertinent to this disorder, society, culture, religion, disenfranchisement, racism, the speed of change, feelings of powerlessness, there were 10 more who wanted to bury their heads in the sand. Even I, as a brown man born in a Muslim country, feel the need to caveat what I say and hide behind facets of my identity, such as the color of my skin, facets that I largely consider unimportant, just to pass comment on things of importance to my country. Douglas Murray is one of those who does not bury his head in the sand, which is why he's risen to some prominence and much criticism and much scrutiny by the censors, the state censors in the UK. But I mean, it's just this is it's a sad story, but it's an instructive one. It's an inappropriate response to a terrible event that occurred that instigates more ugliness. But the basis of it is how society has chosen to deal with dissent, to address problems that are having real impact on people. And when you have sort of a dismissive ruling class, as the UK does, both parties, another nice, interesting parallel, right? The Conservatives under Sunak, and awful. Going back to Boris Johnson, terrible. Terrible. Both parties, a dismissive ruling class that sort of drafted off the populist revolt called Brexit, but then moved on to greater concerns about political power and not about representing the interests of those they promised to represent when they were drafting off that populist revolt. I'm talking mainly about conservatives in that case, since the Tories were opposed to Brexit, generally speaking. And so you have exactly what the editors at Free Press write. You have this powder keg waiting to blow, and you're not allowed to talk about it if you don't have a certain intersectional score. And even if you do, I mean, like this Iraqi native who rose to be Chancellor of the Exchequer, even he feels like he has to couch what he says and hide behind his identity because that's the only way he can legitimately talk about things that are problematic. You tear at people's the stability of people's lives, and you don't think there's going to be any consequences for it. You can continue to keep people down, and to the extent someone pops their head up, you pound it down. Well, yeah, you can choose the authoritarian path, but it won't be without consequence, and it won't be without engendering ugliness. And in this country, every single day, there's a story that is putting more pressure on the powder keg here. Like this story brought to us by Griff Jenkins over at Fox.
Corey Alvarez was arrested and charged with raping a 15-year-old disabled girl at a migrant hotel in Massachusetts. Alvarez was brought into the U.S. last year via the Biden administration's CHNV mass parole program for Haitians. Now, CHNV stands for Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, all countries we don't have a repatriation agreement with. And this controversial parole program, we're told he flew directly from Haiti to JFK Airport to New York City in June of 2023 and had listed a sponsor in New Jersey. Now, ICE has placed a detainer on him with local authorities. He has pleaded not guilty to the charges, but this program allows up to 30,000 people each month from these countries to fly into the U.S. and be granted 2 years of humanitarian parole, which allows them to apply to work here in the U.S. They are supposed to be vetted, guys, and have this sponsor in the U.S. The Biden administration considered this program a, quote, lawful pathway, and the recipients bypass the border entirely, flying over.
Nice. He was flown here.
Well,
free trip.
And here again, I mean, with the descent into warlordocracy in Haiti, there are legitimate claims for asylum. I can understand those, and I want America to provide asylum for people who are under threat of political or religious persecution. Okay. But they still have to be vetted.
Right.
There still have to be guardrails here, and this still has to be done in a sensible way. And this is just being done willy-nilly en masse. And this is what happens when you do things in that fashion. And the response from the dismissive political ruling class here is, well, if you criticize this, then you're a racist and you're a xenophobe. Same thing in the UK. And there's going to be an incident, as if there already hasn't, but there's going to be an incident that generates the sort of ugliness that has now been documented in the UK in response. And it could be even on a bigger scale than what's going on across the pond. And I don't want that. But if you want to live in the real world, and if you want to be pragmatic about these things, then you're not going to get away with things like the ruling class thinks it could get away with across the pond or here, and having people's kids be murdered and taking a dismissive attitude toward their safety, their viability as a family in this country. There's going to be a breaking point if it's not addressed in a responsible, rational way. And right now, it's not being addressed in a responsible, rational way, is it? Tony, Southside.
Good morning, Amy, Lamb, and Dan. So, this is very reminiscent to me. Oh, yeah, that's right. This happened probably in the 800s with, in Winchester and Northumbria, when the Vikings came and they allowed them to take their land, and next thing you know, it was violence for, a very, very long time. So, history does repeat itself if you don't pay attention to it. That's all I have to say.
That's right. It doesn't history doesn't necessarily. Wait, what's the saying? It doesn't. History doesn't. I can't think of the saying.
Oh.
History doesn't.
You're getting
repeat itself,
Newsheimers.
but it does rhyme or something like that. Yeah, something like that.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
IT support, how can we help?
Hey there, we have a huge problem. Our network crashed and our entire assembly line is down. We're losing thousands of dollars an hour. Can you help?
Please hold.
What are they saying?
They put me on hold.
We gotta get this line back running now.
IT support, who are you holding for, please?
Oh, hi. I need help. My network is down. I've been on hold for over...
Sorry, wrong call. Please hold again.
Sound familiar? Don't let a network problem cost your business thousands of dollars. Turnkey is the champion of small businesses. For the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with the most secure, up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting. All by world-class technicians who really care about helping people. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro today.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
History doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but it often rhymes. That was
There you go.
trying to get to. It's attributed.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
It's attributed. I'm a little slow on the uptake today. It's attributed to Mark Twain, but there's no evidence that he actually said that.
Oh.
It's very much in dispute.
Attribution, yes. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk about the DNC and how confident we should be about the security plans that have been made with former Chicago Police Lieutenant John Garrido at 6:36.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom and say hello once again to Mike Scott.
Just in Hannibal, Missouri, 2 weeks ago. Hometown of one Mark Twain. Everybody. 6:32 on AM 560, The Answer. Want to let you know that in the West Loop, a serious fire is under control. It had been at Randolph and Green. A hotel electric vault fire has been put out. Chicago Fire Media telling us just moments ago that the fire has been extinguished. That hotel had been evacuated, but the area is still locked down with emergency equipment. Tropical storm Ernesto pounding eastern Puerto Rico with torrential rainfall. Forecasters warning it could strengthen into a hurricane later today, not expected to hit the U.S. mainland. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida announcing this morning he will not run in the upcoming party leadership vote. It means Japan will have a new prime minister in September. Palestinian health officials say Israeli strikes across the Gaza Strip overnight killed at least 17. The latest strikes come on the eve of new talks aimed at trying to reach a ceasefire. U.S. presidential race heading for North Carolina. Former President Donald Trump will bring his Republican campaign to Asheville. He'll focus on the economy, while Democrat nominee Kamala Harris will outline plans on Friday. Harris's running mate Tim Walz says he's proud of his military record. Walz gave a speech in Los Angeles Tuesday.
And I firmly believe you should never denigrate another person's service record. Anyone brave enough to put on that uniform for our great country, including my opponent, I just have a few simple words. Thank you for your service and sacrifice.
Walz served in the Army National Guard for 24 years before many say he abandoned the Guard to run for Congress. There are no reports of major damage after a magnitude 4.4 earthquake struck the Las Vegas area, striking around 8 p.m. local time last night, about 30 miles northwest of the metropolitan area. A federal judge is siding with Chicago leaders in their legal battle with groups planning to protest during the DNC next week.
We are not giving up. We've got 6 days to get a semblance of a route that we believe the city will want to negotiate with us. We will get our permit for Union Park. We will have our protest.
Security around the United Center this morning continues to ramp up with the convention now less than 1 week away.
I'm confident that our plan will provide a safe and secure environment during the DNC.
Derek Mayer with the Secret Service. Rosemont has enacted a new ban on sleeping in public. Village officials say the ban will not affect those who camp outside Allstate Arena waiting to get in. And Evanston High School this week. Classes are back in session and they're banning cell phones during class. Teachers say they saw an impact on learning and connection.
We were losing hours and hours and hours of instruction time. And maybe even more important than the instruction time, hours and hours of connection time.
Several schools are also implementing phone class bans this fall. Once students get to class, phones are deposited in a caddy for the hour they can be used in most 3 to 5 minute passing periods. Chicago sports, Cubs, 5 hits and a 2-1 loss to Cleveland. While the White Sox are back in the loss column, losing to the Yankees 4-1. The news, a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of ad properties, Christie's International Real Estate. With over $800 million in sales, you'll get the most value for your home. 708-828-0000. 6:36 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees another overreach from Biden.
A federal appeals court just blocked President Biden's latest plan to transfer outstanding student loan debt to American taxpayers. These people, the way they lie and distort, the courts say he doesn't have the authority to end student debt.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Durkin, founding partner of the Martech Group, a global market research firm based in Chicago since 1985 and a longtime customer of Signature Bank. When our business moved to our current Loop location, I recall seeing Mick O'Rourke and his 2 business partners, Brian Duncan and Kevin Vestuga, laying the foundation for Signature Bank. When Signature opened its doors in 2006, I was proud to move our accounts there and become a shareholder. Being in the consulting business, the Martech Group has a keen understanding of the value of relationships, trust, and attentiveness. Whether dealing with our U.S. practice or our international operations, Signature Bank is always there when we need them. That's why the Martech Group is proud to have Signature Bank as a valued business partner.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
President Trump says Newsmax is terrific. Mike Huckabee says he's tuning in like millions of Americans. Newsmax is now the fastest growing cable news channel in America. Watch Newsmax on cable, streaming, or on the free Newsmax app. And Newsmax has announced it plans to go IPO soon. For a limited time, eligible investors can even buy preferred shares in Newsmax, and they come with a 7% dividend. Get the details about Newsmax's planned IPO and shares. Just go to newsmaxinvest.com. Forbes says Newsmax is a news powerhouse. Get Newsmax shares. You can even buy shares with a credit card at newsmaxinvest.com. Whenever making an investment decision, you should consult your attorney or financial advisor. And investors are responsible for conducting their own due diligence regarding investments and for all tax and other risks and obligations. Don't miss out. Find out more at newsmaxinvest.com today.
Wow, she loves it. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I'm talking about a woman that I met at the pool. Arthritis robbed her of so much, but there's effective ways to deal with that pain without drugs or surgery. She went to QC Kinetics. They use cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizes your joints so you can move again. So if you're living with chronic pain like my new friend I met at the pool, you need to know that steroids and surgery and pain pills no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, and restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. Call them today for a free consultation. They'll walk you through the process, tell you how it all works. They have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee, and Saturday appointments are available. 312-809-5955. Write it down, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
640 on AM 560, The Answer. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Audible. If you're heading out, soak up the sun with stories on Audible. There's more to imagine when you listen. Sign up for a free trial at audible.com. Kennedy at 44 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays as you begin your travels in Oak Lawn. Central is closed due to an accident between 89th and 88th on the northbound side. Still traffic gummed up on the west side, the West Loop area. Randolph, east and westbound between Halstead and Peoria remains shut down. An earlier fire is out, an electrical vault fire. Hotel was evacuated. CTA buses are on the scene to help those employees and guests. Again, the area is shut down, but the fire is out. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Pleasant day ahead. Sun and clouds. High 86. Currently 66 at O'Hare. 69 at Midway. And your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, in advance of next week's new Bolshevik Party convention, the mayor has given the order.
I said to him very emphatically and very definitely that an order be issued immediately under his signature to shoot to kill any arsonist or anyone with a Molotov cocktail in their hand in Chicago, to fire a building because they're potential murderers, and to issue a police order to shoot, to maim, or cripple anyone looting any stores in our city.
It doesn't sound like Brandon Johnson, but yeah, boy.
Those were the days.
Yeah, it's not 1968 anymore in Chicago, is it?
No, it's not. Now they have safe zones to protest in, and I don't think they're going to follow those orders. Do you, Dan?
Well, we've gotten some confident talk from Superintendent Snelling yesterday at the big security show for the dutiful Chicago press corps. He said this.
We have eyes and ears on everything that we possibly can in that location. And we're working with our federal partners to make sure, to ensure that we don't have a major incident occur in that area.
Uh-huh. And earlier he said this, if they are thinking about rioting, looting, arson, they're going to take care of it.
What we will not tolerate is vandalism to our city. What we will not tolerate is violent activity. If we see that, we will put an end to it quickly.
So, follow-up, Superintendent Snelling, does that mean the shoot to kill arsonists, shoot to maim looters thing is still in effect?
From the 60s?
Yeah, here's the problem. You want to believe Snelling, and you want to believe that he's well-intended. It's hard to, though. Very difficult to. And maybe this is beyond his control, and, of course, he'll never say that, certainly not while he's in that post. But we have this Chicago police incident where a Chicago police officer has been stripped of his police powers after a video of him punching a suspect went viral, as every video involving a white police officer and a black suspect does. It appears to show the officer in question striking this guy 3 times with a closed fist, while 2 others grab the guy's hair and struggle with him on the ground. So he's resisting arrest. Interesting. Turns out, COPA, of course, has opened an investigation.
Right. And that's why he's been stripped of his police powers. Probably because the video went viral and he was a black man. Yeah.
Turns out that the suspect has a long criminal record. Don't have the details on that yet, but they'll surface. Was treated for minor injuries and has been charged with unlawful use of a weapon by a felon. Oh, so long criminal record, is a convicted felon. Unlawful use of a weapon. So he was resisting arrest and he had a firearm.
This police officer should be hailed as a hero.
Well,
I mean, he's just doing his job.
I don't know about
to
hero.
protect the people.
I don't know about hero, but he's doing his job. It seems like he's doing his job. So a convicted felon with a weapon is resisting arrest, and the police have to get physical with him because he's resisting arrest.
Yeah.
Right. And the immediate response from the institution is to strip him of his police power. So it's incidents like this that suggest that what Superintendent Snelling is trying to sell us about next week is not something that we should buy.
Well, and people in the black community complain once this video went viral.
It's a shame on this system. It's a shame on these police departments. It's a shame on these commanders. It's a shame on our elected officials and the powers that's higher, that's steady allowing these policies and these laws to protect these criminals, because they're the criminals.
Well, who's that?
Police. It's Mrs. Smith. She had.
Well, who the hell is she?
She's a community organizer.
Yeah, of course she is. Yeah.
Yeah. Saying it's the police are the criminals.
John Garrido, former Chicago Police Lieutenant in the 16th District and president of the Garrido Stray Rescue Foundation, joins us. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So should we believe Superintendent Snelling has got a plan that's going to keep things relatively peaceful next week?
Well, they have a plan. There's no doubt about that. They've been preparing, they've been training, they've been doing what they usually do leading up to these events. But the real question is going to be are they going to let the officers do the job that needs to be done when things go up for grabs? Because they will go up for grabs. There's agitators that come here. This is their plan. This is what they do. They come and try to get things going and get people all riled up to do destruction. And the question is going to be, are they going to let the city burn like Lightfoot did during the Floyd riots, or are they going to actually let the officers step up and do something about it?
Now, I all of the signature features of Obamaland, I assume those will be guarded substantially. We want to protect the crown jewel of the lakefront. Is that part of the plan?
I'm sure. I know they've set up there's going to be massive perimeters and road closures around McCormick Place and around the United Center. They've actually got 2 sections, one where it's pedestrian restrictions and the other one's vehicle restrictions that are even farther out. So nobody's going to get anywhere near McCormick Place or the United Center. But that's not where these protesters are. They might want to get there, and they took them to court to try to get there. But ultimately, they're going to want to be downtown. They're going to want to be on Lakeshore Drive or Michigan Avenue. Right. They're going to be that's where the looting is. What are you going to loot on the west side? I mean, there's nothing to take in a lot of those areas. So they're going to be down where the money is and where all the cameras are going to be on them to get them the most attention that they can get.
Yeah, so Michigan Avenue is probably going to be a hot spot.
Michigan Avenue is probably got a hot spot. There's already, reports floating around through the department that, there's possibly going to be looting even in advance of the DNC that they're trying to get out in front of.
Some pre-looting.
It's like a warm-up. It's like tailgating, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Get the Barbie out.
They have to do their training as well.
Exactly.
I mean...
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, they were training at Union Hall? Remember, they were chanting "Death to America,
Teamsters.
Death to Eames."
Right. So it's practice. They have practice flags to burn and stuff. So
exactly.
They're going through their training stuff. So.
Well, what about Wrigley Field? Because we have a few home games next week too. I don't know who planned that, but
yeah, I don't know.
shocked.
I mean, so you never know. I mean, They could be anywhere, right? But my guess is they're going to focus most of their efforts downtown.
Yeah, where they can create the most chaos, the most gridlock, and get the most attention. Of course, this is what they want.
They're going to go to days off canceled, 12-hour days. I think starting probably, it's going to be for a full week, so a few days in advance and a few days after. So you'll have the 2 shifts. Each district has 3 shifts. We have 3 shifts to operate throughout the tour of duty. You'll have 2 shifts that'll stay behind the districts that will cover the districts, and then that 1 extra shift will be deployed. So there'll be plenty of manpower actually in the districts, just in case they pop up elsewhere.
I mean, I know Secret Service is involved, obviously, because you have presidential candidates and former presidents and so forth. But in terms of to the local police responsibility, is there partnering with suburban police departments? Is there any National Guard involvement? What is sort of the conglomeration of law enforcement that is being brought to bear here?
Yeah, so I was told that after the attempt on assassination attempt on Trump, that just the numbers have increased dramatically, and there's possibly 8,000 to 10,000 additional law enforcement that are going to be here. That's National Guard, state police, surrounding departments, and then you're going to have FBI and whoever else that they can send. They don't want this to go up for grabs. It's too close to the election, so I'm sure they really, really want to make sure that this is as peaceful as the Republican National Convention was up north. But we actually sent Chicago police officers up there to help out. So there's definitely going to be a lot of law enforcement here. But you can have here. They already do scarecrow policing on the south and west sides. We are flooding those areas with police officers. But if the officers aren't allowed to do their jobs, we're still having record high, shootings and murders and rapes and car thefts and things. So it all comes down to you can flood it with whatever you want. Are they going to be able to do anything about anything if something jumps off?
Yeah, the image in my mind as you're talking is of police being pelted with rocks and frozen water bottles and stuff, trying to defend the Columbus statue a couple of years ago. I mean, so yeah, there was police there, but they're not allowed to do anything except take incoming, and so the barbarians get their way. And so speak to that with respect to this officer who just got stripped of his police power that we opened the segment with. I mean, isn't that a leading indicator to suggest that police are not going to be allowed to do their job? They're going to be mostly decorative, and don't think that these professional agitators, as you were describing, don't understand that.
Well, right, and so and that is the message that it sends, because we of course don't know all the details of what happened there, but what we do know is we had an armed felon that was in possession of a handgun who was resisting arrest. Now, are there more details that we're not aware of that caused him to be stripped? I don't think so. I don't know. But the fact remains, that message doesn't get out to the officers. What you see is a video goes viral, an officer is stripped. So that sends a message loud and clear to the officers that while we've got a lot of tough talk going on, I think even Kim Fox said that she was ready to prosecute. So,
they're asking for volunteer attorneys.
It's craziness. So even with all of that, it still sends a message that, hey, be careful, because probably there's a good chance you could either be stripped, criminally prosecuted, or fired. So I just really, really hope, because I think Snelling really does mean what he says, 100%. It's just going to be when things are burning and he gets the call from Johnson, what's the answer going to be? Get in there and stop it, or stand down?
Well, how many social workers are being assigned to the convention and to providing peace on our streets? Since that's sort of the that's where this is all going. I mean, policing is sort of an anachronism. We're on the cusp of entering a brave new world of social workers keeping the order.
Yeah, I don't know where the social workers are going to be deployed to, but I'm sure that they will be there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Probably mostly on stage, pontificating.
Yeah,
they're going to be in the center of all the protected areas.
Now, would you bother to go downtown next week?
Next week? No. I'm not going to go anywhere near downtown next week.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
No.
Even to save a stray dog, John Garrido?
Yes. Then absolutely,
Thank
100%. I would absolutely go down there.
But only with a tactical team.
Now, in case people don't know, John Greedo did hook up Dan Proft with Hayek.
Yes.
The dog.
Yes. Hayek the dog.
And I did call him and told him I was concerned.
Yeah.
You did. You told me to not that they thought it was a bad idea and that he shouldn't have a dog. But
Right.
it sounds like it's all working out. I mean,
It's working out great. Hayek lives a better life than Amy does.
Yes, he does. He really does.
Hayek retired to Florida about
Yeah.
3 years ago, and I mean, from what I understand, he's loving it down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the postcards he sends. Yeah.
Excellent.
John Garrido, former Chicago Police Lieutenant in the 16th, president of the Garrido Stray Rescue Foundation. If you're interested in getting your own Hayek,
yes.
GarridoStrayRescue.org. GarridoStrayRescue.org. John, thanks as always.
Thank you.
You're the best, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
As everyone can tell, we're living in turbulent times. During times of uncertainty like World War II and 9/11, people have often turned to God. In times like these, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville, Illinois reminds all Americans of the ancient promise found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This is not a political statement. It's a call to all God-fearing Americans to do as God's word instructs. America needs healing now. Whether you're for the guy on the left or the right or neither, everyone needs to heed the word of God as 2 Chronicles instructs us. May God bless all our leaders and God bless the USA. This message is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins on Route 59, Naperville, Illinois.
Fellas, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low testosterone. Don't wait. Get checked by the experts at Low T Center. They have over a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results with testosterone therapy, or TRT. For established patients, they offer the convenience of physician-monitored at-home TRT with advanced, personalized plans that include both lab testing and self-inject medication. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Life is complicated enough without having to worry about your financial concerns when you retire. In a perfect world, your retirement funds would just be there when you reach retirement age.
But it's not a perfect world, and you really need to look ahead and be proactive to manage the dollars you've earned.
The team at Wealth Management Group can help. Uncomplicate your financial future and talk to the team at Wealth Management Group today.
Call 833-WMG-PLAN. That's 833-WMG-PLAN. Or investwithwmg.com.
Success. It's discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us that comes before all recognition. It's the best of each of us made better by the best in all of us. It's what Stifel's been doing for over 130 years. And it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management and investment banking firms in the industry. Stifel. It's where success meets success. Start your journey at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you. You've watched the news. Rising crime has been affecting our everyday lives in Illinois more and more these days. Blue Star Security can protect you, your business, or your place of worship. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 900 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Anthony Barchetto, president of Blue Star Security and a 20-year law enforcement veteran. The Blue Star team is made up of over 900 state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals. We serve businesses and private organizations with supply chain and special event security, and also protect our loved ones at places of worship and schools all across the Chicagoland area. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity, while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecuриtyllc.com. That's bluestarsecuриtyllc.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
You excited, Dan?
Dog is in Chicago today, getting ready to do a little bit of pre-partying for the convention. Dog Emhoff, I'm talking about.
What's he doing? Is he getting an abortion and his nails done?
He is. He's come to town to get an abortion of his butt baby. No, you're gonna love this. You know what he's in town for?
Oh my God! What?
promote the COVID vaccine.
No, he's not. No. Oh my.
Yeah. Yeah. Old habits die hard. Dog in town.
To promote
Then he's going to go get his drink on.
That guy's so hot. Guess who else has COVID, by the way? Fauci.
I got infected about 2 weeks ago. It was my third infection, and I had been vaccinated and boosted a total of 6 times.
17,000 times. Yeah.
We told you to get the 7th.
Okay. It is 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
The Taliban holding a parade in Afghanistan. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, marking 3 years since taking back control of the country.
We see these videos today. We see the Taliban celebrating what happened 3 years ago, and it is a harsh reminder of where Afghanistan stands today.
Fox's Benjamin Hall reports in today's celebration they showed off American weapons left behind when U.S. troops were quickly leaving.
Many of the people who were left behind are still there. Many American allies are still trying to get out. We continue to speak to some of them. And since then, the Taliban has consolidated its grip on the country. It's implemented strict Islamic laws, restricting women to a second-class life lived under the veil and often behind locked doors.
While Israel awaits an attack, Iran vowed a new round of Gaza peace talks are tomorrow, though Hamas might not take part. Israeli airstrikes overnight killed 17 Palestinians.
Horrible stories of death and destruction plague the Strip each day. This week, one story pierced international headlines and the hearts of viewers, that of a young father whose twin babies were just days old, killed in an Israeli airstrike, along with his wife.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst, Haifa, Israel. A progressive Democrat who's been pro-Palestinian, critical of Israel's war, does what two of her House squad colleagues could not: survive a primary challenge. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar won in Minnesota.
We know it is joyful to want to live in a peaceful and equitable world.
Former President Trump will rally in North Carolina today, focused on the economy, while his former rival in the Republican primaries, Nikki Haley, tells Fox they have to quit whining about Vice President Harris.
You don't need to be talking about crowd sizes. You don't need to be going on rants about her not doing an interview. You don't need to talk about, things that don't matter.
Ernesto is hitting Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Well, it's not a hurricane yet.
It's still going to bring the same results: heavy rainfall, mudslides, power outages.
Fox meteorologist Janice Dean says Ernesto will become a hurricane, maybe hit Bermuda this weekend. America's listening to Fox News.
66 degrees in Chicago. 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. A federal judge siding with Chicago leaders in their legal battle with groups planning to protest during the DNC next week. A judge deciding not to force City Hall to alter the path that offered groups aiming to protest. The pro-Palestinian demonstrators now say they will appeal that decision.
Kinds of log jams, and people are going to potentially try to move onto streets that are more open. We've asked the police about that specifically, and they said those people would be subject to arrest.
Parking restrictions that popped up Tuesday were a surprise to some residents and the alderman of the 27th Ward, who said measures were not discussed in meetings with law enforcement.
That's insane and inhumane and inconsiderate for people who live in this neighborhood.
Angry residents woke to signs plastering poles after meetings saying they would not be impacted during the DNC. 27th Ward Alderman Walter Burnett.
They think somebody moved too fast, too far. So I'm hoping that we will get some relief now.
Burnett says already some signs are coming down after major pushback. Family and friends of a 13-year-old boy killed in a shooting this past weekend on Chicago's north side. Remember the teen? A vigil held last night for Ashwan Davis. He was shot and killed on Sunday night. Rosemont has enacted a new ban on sleeping in public after a U.S. Supreme Court ruling. Village officials say the ban will not impact those wanting to camp outside the Allstate Arena, waiting to get in. And one of the old-time Chicago mobsters has died. According to ABC7, sources confirmed 91-year-old Joe Andriacchi died in his sleep over the weekend. His long list of crimes goes back to the 1960s, when his nickname became the Sledgehammer for his chosen method of breaking into safes. He climbed to number 2 in the Chicago outfit. Andriacchi was a cousin to Family Secrets crime boss Joey the Clown Lombardo. Cubs had just 5 hits in a 2-1 loss to Cleveland. White Sox 4-1 losers to the Yankees. The news, a service of Turnkey.pro. Turnkey will fully protect your network for less than the price of a monthly car payment with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, and real-time threat hunting. Visit Turnkey.pro today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka isn't sure we've solved the problem.
Guess who really runs things for operations at the Secret Service?
Ooh, Deputy Director?
Bingo.
So the Deputy Director was really responsible for Butler, and now he's the Director. Just because he's next in line doesn't mean you've solved anything.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
For anyone living with everyday aches and pains, there's a lot of things you can try. You know, tough it out, bite the bullet, grin and bear it. Or you can try something that has helped so many other people, Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that addresses the inflammation where pain starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain for a short time. It helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. Wherever you're hurting, your back, neck, joints, or muscles, in about 3 weeks or less, you'll see a difference and rediscover what it's like to feel better and live better. So if everyday pain is affecting your life, don't go with the mind over matter approach. Try Relief Factor instead. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Right now, Bettenhausen has 0% on new Jeeps during the Make This the Summer event at Bettenhausen Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, now open on 159th Street in Lockport. Celebrate summer with a new Jeep. Bettenhausen has 0% financing available on new Jeep Cherokees, new Jeep Wranglers, or new Jeep Compasses. Hurry into Bettenhausen in Lockport. Your best Jeep buying experience starts now at Bettenhausen. Showroom open 24/7 at cdjroflockport.com.
7:07. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get that smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Warrenville, Route 59 and Butterfield Road, report of an accident. Gurnee, report of an accident. Milwaukee, southbound, just south of Gages Lake Road. On the Dan Ryan, your stop and go inbound 47th to Roosevelt, 20 minutes in to the Burns Circle interchange. And the Ike right now, a solid 1 hour from 390 into the old post office. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Today it'll be rather pleasant and a blend of sun and clouds, high 86. Clouds increasing, showers late tonight, low 68. Clouds are not as warm but humid tomorrow. Shower and a heavy thunderstorm, could see some flash flooding. High tomorrow, 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
66 at O'Hare, 69 at Midway. Your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and again, some news we mentioned at the end of last hour, I should repeat. Fellas, better put a lockdown on your shorties. Because OG dog Emhoff is up in this bitch today.
He's so hot.
He's hyping the Fauci ouchie. He's going to talk to some honkies in Glencoe, and then it's right to the Viagra Triangle. Be on the lookout for OG Dog tonight.
Yeah.
Gold Coast, baby.
He's there.
Getting his drink on.
Hugo's Frog Bar. I don't know. Where do you think he's going to go? So many choices. End up at the Lodge late night, 4 a.m., getting the ladies.
This isn't a problem for OG Dog, but for us mere mortals.
Okay.
American men are in a friendship recession. Yeah, let's bring it down a notch.
Cue the music, Justin.
Yeah. The number of men without any close friends has increased fivefold since 1990. It's not just Charles Grodin and Steve Martin anymore. Yeah.
Is this the Dan Prof story? Too?
Loneliness is more than just isolation. Who's at risk for chronic loneliness? That's the topic. Are you part of the friendship recession?
312-642-5600. Give us a call, or if you want to, you can text us, but it's more fun if you call in. You can text us at that same number, and you don't have to put DA before your comment.
You know how you get out of a friendship recession. You know, the little stimulus you need.
What?
Come out of OG Dog's posse. Loneliness is more than just isolation. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been lonely in a room full of people? I love those sorts of questions.
I have been.
Have you?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
I don't want to talk about
No, emote.
No, I've been lonely when I'm with people that I know want to see me destroyed or take me down because I'm a Republican. But then the loneliness turns to a feeling of revenge.
It's great.
And killing them with kindness.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Just look good while you're doing it. That's all I got to tell you. Get your hair done and your nails.
Do you want to learn about loneliness?
I would love to.
It's the subjective experience of craving more social interaction than you currently have. Thank you, Kamala Harris. Explaining loneliness. It sounds like Kamala Harris. No, it sounds like her explaining the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Remember that one?
Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country.
Yeah.
Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
Oh my God! I mean,
I bet OG Dog feels lonely at home sometimes listening to her blather on, if they even have communication. I don't know. I know they're very much in love, though.
Oh,
yeah. It's not binary. Loneliness is not binary either, and no one is immune from it. According to Julianne Holt-Lundstad, and she's got a hyphenated name, so she must know what she's talking about.
I can't stand hyphenated names.
She's a psych professor at BYU, fighting Mormons. Most people experience loneliness at some point in their lives, and labeling people as lonely can be stigmatizing. It can make you feel bad about yourself, and then make you even less likely to want to socialize with others out of fear of rejection. But it can also then influence how you perceive the world in social situations that can lead to a negative spiral. I mean, it really is like listening to comments. And where does that negative spiral go, Professor Holt-Lundstad? Chronic loneliness has severe negative physical and mental effects. Just as much of a health risk factor as smoking.
Oh, come on.
The professor, again, this is a psych professor, so, this is like reading from the gospel. Professor Holt-Lundstad's analogizing it to smoking, she said, lacking social connection is like smoking 15 cigarettes a day. I don't know how you exactly measure that, but okay. All right.
Text message, Dan and Amy, you guys are my only friends.
Oh my gosh, that's sad. Was that Sean?
No.
Sean from Elmwood Park texted?
No. Another one, Dan and Amy, does having dead friends count?
You see dead people? We
know,
got
friends
Haley
you have
Joe
is
Osmond texting in. Classic stereotypes of loneliness, like unmarried women or elderly people, fail to capture the myriad experiences contributing to loneliness. Life circumstances have a greater impact on loneliness than other demographic categories. Loneliness peaks in early adulthood, falls in midlife, rises again late in life. So this is supposed to be your happy, non-lonely period.
Okay.
Even though you're an empty nester.
Wow, thanks for bringing that up.
Well, I'm just saying.
Well, I mean,
except for the cats.
Oh, my cat.
And the bulldog.
And the dogs.
And
the
two
bullies.
two bulldogs.
Choo-choo bulldog.
A 2024 American Psychiatric Association survey, and remember, these are the same people that think homophobia is a mental disorder, so take that into consideration. Found 1 in 3 Americans aged 18 to 34 said they were lonely several times a week. 18 to 34.
Don't you like being alone, though? I mean, don't you like the peace and tranquility it brings with it?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
because
you're always alone.
Because I'm a misanthrope, and I despise humanity. Yeah.
You don't take public transportation because of the public, not the transportation.
I come here, and then I go hide out at private golf clubs.
Well, yeah, and then when you
because I
golf
only want to be
too.
around a certain group of people, and that's it.
But I notice when you golf too, you don't stay in the cart. You just.
Well, I like to walk.
Yeah. I think you like to be alone. Just you and your little white ball.
Yeah. It's a cry for help.
You know what it is?
Walking,
it's a feeling
meandering
of,
around a golf course.
It's a feeling of freedom for you.
That's all I want. University of Michigan national poll on healthy aging found 37% of U.S. adults aged 50 to 80 reported a lack of companionship over the last year. Does this feel like companionship if I just read you the results of these pointless studies and give you sort of this grade school level boilerplate from psych professors at major universities that describe loneliness but don't really have any particularly important things to say about it? Social connection's important. This is how they get, millions of dollars in federal grants so they can write these absurd friendship recession articles at outlets like Vox.com.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro loneliness line.
Yeah. Don't be lonely.
You don't have to be alone. Give us a call.
Yeah. I feel like this is like that show that Corolla used to do with Dr. Drew.
Oh, Love Lines.
Yeah.
God, I remembered something.
We could do this is like we could we want to do what they did, I guess, for relationships. We want to do this is a relationship, a friendship. We're going to be the show that gets American men out of their friendship recession.
Okay. That's it.
All right.
We
That's a
we have a
laudable
purpose.
goal.
Yeah, we have a purpose.
Finally, I have a purpose in life.
Phew.
Lee in Park Ridge, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, and I have an idea for you. I can't believe I call you the first time, and it's the loneliness line. Thanks a lot. But anyway, my 30-year-old son, came up with this idea, and he has a group of friends he's met. He's a veteran, so some are vets, or some are friends, some are childhood friends. All the guys, maybe 6 or 8, and he sends out handwritten invitations to come to his home for dinner, and they're called wood table dinners. You have to sit down at a table, have dinner, and they talk. Everything's open on the subject. It's usually a lot of just checking in. Where are you? It takes a couple of hours. Whoever is the host cooks a home-cooked meal or serves something. But the beauty of this has been, I think he did it 2 or 3 times, and now other people are picking up on it, other guys in the group. But what I love is one of the wives of one of his friends saw the invitation and said to her husband, "Don't you lose this guy as a friend. This is fabulous." So I guess my point
is it sorry to interrupt, is it just
Yeah.
is it for mainly veterans, or is it
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's just he's got this. So maybe that's the other thing. Really look into your past of where your friends. Some of them are friends he's known since he was 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Some are new friends. They range in age. So it's like anything else. You make that effort, but and the guys love it because they're part of this tribe
Lee,
that they're building up.
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
Do you think your son would let me be his friend?
Well, I could probably put in a good word for you because he does listen to you. Yeah.
Good.
He'd probably be like-minded enough. You'd be
very
like-minded.
good.
And yes, and he's actually at Loyola too. So there you go. You have all that to have in common. But yeah, I could probably put in a word for you.
Thank you.
And you could. You're welcome. He's a good cook too. So I'd go when it's at his house.
Good. I need somebody to cook for me. Thanks for
right.
the call, Lee. Appreciate it.
Yeah, call anytime.
No, I like that. On a serious note. So I mean, that's what golf is though too.
Right.
Like for example, so you put together different foursomes of guys, different people from different walks of life that you want to connect. He's like, you should know this guy, not even for business reasons, just because you'd be simpatico or whatever. Same thing. I used to do this. a part of a group that did this dinner at the
Oh, that's
Skyline
right.
Club.
Wait, what happened? Oh, you're not a member anymore. right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it just broke apart during COVID, like so much. But so it was a monthly dinner, 8 to 15 guys. There was a topic and a presenter on a topic of. Yeah, I mean, it could be a lot of things. It didn't have to be political. Anyway, and then that was the focus of conversation during dinner, and then you had a digestif, and you talked about whatever you want and caught up with people. It is that I like stuff like that. That sort of appointment gatherings
I remember you
is good.
talking about that, and then
But it's
then
gotta
the
be-
vid happened. The vid ruined everything.
Yeah, but it's got to be with people that have a point in their life, right? They have something to say or something
What
to
topic did you
share.
present? Do you remember?
I presented a few. I think one I did on the. Well, this is going back. One I did on the 2016 election, of course, in advance of the election. I can't
That's a
remember.
long
I can't remember the others I did. It was went on for a while. It was good. Jason, Southside. Hey, Jason.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
I have a 2 and a 5-year-old, so what I'm lacking is adult conversation, and I have a blast with my kids, but just talking to adult, my wife, we talk when we can, we're not exhausted, but I don't think, I'm kind of like you, Dan, I think you hate public more than I do, but I like being alone, but I'm lonely when it comes to talking to adults.
Yeah.
That I could use.
Well, does your wife ever let you out of the house to go? Do
Are
something?
you in charge of the kids, right?
Yeah, but I mean, me and my wife are really good. We're like old-fashioned, like people call us, how can you do that? My wife likes to cook. I take out the garbage. We do the old-fashioned thing, but it works for us.
Okay.
And she does let me out, and then I let her out and stuff like that. But, I like being with the kids, but I miss adult conversations.
I hear you. I've
All
been
right.
there, sister.
We're all gonna
No,
we're all gonna meet at Lee's son's house in Park Ridge. So when I get that wired up, I'll let you know. Yeah.
The bad thing is, as a parent, you get away from your kids so you could talk about your kids. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's funny. Funny. Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks for the
Thanks,
call,
Jason. And you sound like a
Jason.
great father. But yeah, no, it's mind-numbing sometimes. Seeing the same. I think I saw the movie Cars 1,000 times.
Why don't you just get a nanny or something?
Oh, they're very expensive. Are you kidding me? That's like a mortgage payment. And you have to pay them cash every week. No.
Worth it.
No.
Edward, Northside.
Hello?
Hey, Edward.
Yeah, I just want to say, I'm an older guy. I'm 79 years old. But one thing people don't realize about loneliness is it's very peaceful. You may not have anybody to talk to, but you don't have anybody bothering you either.
100%.
Yeah, right. There you go. So there's good and bad in everything. It's just a matter of choice. I like to be lonely. I've had too many bad friends in my life, and at 79 years old, I have no plans on changing.
There
and
you
I
go.
still smoke.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Smoke
Thanks
'em
for
if
the
you got
call. I
'em.
love it. Yes.
Now that's your kind of guy, right
I believe
there.
it was Sartre who said, "Hell is other people." In other words, Edwards figured that out. This is wisdom speaking, right there. The wisdom that comes from experience about how disappointing people generally are. Yeah.
Saint Basile, if you live as a hermit, whose feet will you wash? It's a text message we got. Thank you.
You can still do philanthropic things
Yeah.
and serve others without having to, spend a lot of time with them.
Dan and Amy, this is the only recession that I approve of. Okay.
Friendship recession.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a pairing. Sometimes you have to pare down the circle. Actually, it is interesting though. I mean, part of it, I guess, is being in politics and media. I guess this is considered media, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You meet a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life, and it is kind of fun because, through golf and through my professional career, such as it is, I met a lot of really successful people who have done very interesting things in life. So that's interesting. You learn a lot, nothing else. Then you learn, and then you go home and you watch a movie and you have a drink because you're never alone with the drink, and then you get up and you do it all again. That's it. That's all there is. Paul in Barrington.
Hello.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah, good morning. No, I listened to your seeking companionship. I happen to be a widower, and I go out with my neighbor across the street who's also a widower, and one of the guys from church who was in the Army, and I got a lady down the street who's a widow, and we go out and we talk about things together, and the adult conversation is very beneficial because for some reason or other, your kids seem to want to run your life for you, and you have mutual companionship, and you can talk about the kids too. But it's a great subject you guys are broaching this morning. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Paul. Appreciate it.
Thanks for calling in. We have a bunch of new callers today.
Maybe Paul will let me be in that group too.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, Dan, no.
What?
Well, all right.
Well, I mean, it's not because of. I mean, it's just friends. I mean, they have that in common, but I don't think it's exclusive.
Oh, okay.
It's not the impression I got. Frank at the Board of Trade. Are you the only one left at the Board of Trade? Are you there by yourself?
Yeah, it's all a bunch of Filipino programmers. I'm the. Yeah, I've gotten rid of all my friends. I discovered that a lot of them had D's in back of their names. They don't watch the news. They don't listen to the news. They're completely. I think they're just shut-ins.
Mm-hmm.
But I have retained my. Imaginary friends from preschool.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of quiet, but they're very loyal. Mm-hmm. But I have a bunch of new friends now, and it's Harcourt, Brace, and Jovanovich, and Wiley and Sons. They're very loyal.
Okay.
Thanks for the call, Frank. Yeah. Got that little gizmo on your shoulder that you can talk to, get
please.
advice from.
So, you know who wants advice? Joanne.
Joanne in Hoffman Estates.
What can I help you
Hi,
with?
Amy.
Hi.
I need advice from you.
Oh, the friendship
More
recession
advice.
line.
Dan, let me have my girl moment.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Joanne,
please.
Yeah, it's really bad. Most of my friends, obviously, as you know, in this state, are not of my thinking, and I like the idea of the imaginary friends that the previous caller said, but my idea of a good time is listening to the Irish Prime Minister at the end of the week. I'm
Kevin
serious.
from Ogden Dunes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's funny.
Yeah.
He's a funny guy.
All right.
So, how do you deal with these people?
Well, they don't talk to me anymore.
They don't talk to you at all?
No, not at all.
I know. I've gotten rid of
I had
all
a
the
friend
negative
of 40
energy.
plus years, and that whole group, it's over. So I just, I don't know. I've got 5 friends that I talk to, and 2 of them are my sisters. Does that count? And then, like this weekend on Sunday, I'm going to go to the McHenry County Fairground for the Trump rally, and maybe I'll meet some people there. You should do things like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Good luck,
Well,
Joanne.
thank you for the help.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know I'm not the only one.
You're
Yeah.
not.
No, you're.
It was
and the
hard.
scary
It's
thing,
very hard.
I'm starting to get paranoid thoughts, though, about, you know what I mean? Like
people are out
What?
to get you? What do you mean paranoid thoughts?
no, not me personally. It's just the state of the world.
Oh.
Well,
Like, what happens if such and such happens, and what...
Dan, you want to?
Yeah, you got to roll with the punches. Thanks for
I
the call,
know.
Joanne. Yeah, it's it's not it's the world is a cesspool. It's a mess.
Just keep the faith. If you
human
have
beings
faith
are
in
flawed.
God, keep praying every day.
Yeah.
I pray every day.
Remember my philosophy on life, Joanne and Amy.
Yeah.
Life is a test to see how much punishment you can take.
Or you're going to say life is like a box of chocolates.
No, that's been used.
Okay.
Matt, Oak Lawn.
Hey, good morning, guys. Maybe we can lighten it up a little bit here. So this guy joins a monastery. He's a monk. He takes a vow of silence, and he's 10 years in, and the abbot, who's the head of the monastery, says, "Brother, it's been 10 years. Is there anything you'd like to say?" And he says, "Yes, the food here is salty." And that was it. So another 10 years goes by, and the abbot says, "Brother, it's another 10 years. Is there anything you'd like to say?" He says, "Well, my bed's a little lumpy." He says, "Get out of here." He says, "You've been whining since you got here."
Thanks for the call, Matt. Very good. John in Lincolnwood.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. It's been a while. I had to call because, Dan, when you said you're never alone when you're, you have a drink or whatever, that couldn't be more true. I've actually lost a lot of friends, and
because of your
it's
drinking.
just too funny. You can't talk. You can't talk to these people. So I mean, it's just unbelievable. And even when you want to have a decent conversation with someone, you can't because they get hysterical, they get crazy, and they say that I'm all these names and all this stuff, and then I just ask them for facts, and I'm on Nextdoor too, and I'm there on purpose. I disagree with people just to get them pissed off, and then I get deleted off of there all the time. So it's an amazing world we live in, and Amy, just don't worry about socializing and stuff. It'll all come back. These people eventually will get sick of paying all these taxes. I mean, if they don't, they're absolutely nuts.
Thanks for
They're
the call,
uber
John.
rich, so they don't worry about. We don't have the same problems. Not saying that rich people don't have problems, but they're just different problems.
Jordan in Antioch.
Good morning. Yeah, it's funny you touched on this topic. It's actually, it's funny to joke about the male loneliness, and everybody likes, the loneliness of solitude, and I feel that way too. But this is actually a pretty serious thing going on in this country right now. I'm not sure if you're aware of the stats, but the suicide rate for men is way up in the United States, and it's because of male loneliness. It's because they don't have anybody to be a man around. And I know we can joke about it and everything, but it is a serious subject, and it's the culture. The guys aren't allowed to be men anymore. You've been taught, and it's a lot of the guys that are in their 20s and 30s that are killing themselves because they don't have an outlet, because they've been taught that what they are and what they feel is wrong, and it's a real shame. I know in my church we are pushing right now. We're bringing back men's breakfast, so that we can have a place where once a month, nobody wants another male version of their wife or girlfriend, right? But you have to have somebody to talk to. You have to have somebody you feel like you can drop your guard around. And we've been trying these breakfasts, and it's really helped. And a lot of guys, they have something to look forward to once a month, to go and just be around 40 guys, right?
Yeah.
And just be a guy.
Yeah.
And I understand it's in a church setting, but this is it's a pretty serious topic. And I would just say, like, like Paul said, he has some friends of me, and there was another caller that called in. Reach out and check on the friends that you used to go to school with. Like, just see what they're doing. Sometimes you have no idea what kind of impact that will have in somebody's life when they're down. That somebody from 30 years ago in their past reaches out to them and say, "Hey, you want to get a cup of coffee?" I don't mean to bring the heavy on it. I mean,
No, it's good. What you're saying is true. Thanks for the call, Jordan, and that's constructive as opposed to my smart aleck nonsense. So no, that's good. That's good. I mean, he's absolutely right about that.
And I'm glad
Jordan's a good man.
Glad they're bringing back the men's morning breakfast. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Memes are destroying the planet. We'll start there with Steve Moore, 737.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
732, 68 degrees. We're watching Tropical Storm Ernesto turning out to be mostly just torrential rain, pounding eastern Puerto Rico. Right now, it's not expected to hit the U.S. mainland, heading up the Atlantic Ocean. Former President Trump holding another rally in North Carolina today. He'll deliver pointed remarks on the economy. Fox's Mike Emanuel is there.
Former President Trump's expected to travel from Florida to teammate J.D. Vance will speak to a rally in battleground Michigan in Byron Center in the southwest region of Grand Rapids. Today's focus for the former president will be, of course, on the economy. On the other side, Harris's running mate Tim Walz did his first solo event in front of a union audience. Harris has no public events today, and her campaign has taken some heat for her limited activity. Trump and Vance in North Carolina and Michigan expect plenty more of that down the final stretch of this campaign.
Harris will travel to Raleigh, North Carolina on Friday for her own campaign event. Progressive Congresswoman Ilhan Omar one step closer to keeping her seat in the U.S. House. She won her primary yesterday in Minnesota.
We know it is joyful to want to live in a peaceful and equitable world.
Congresswoman Omar successfully defeating Minneapolis City Council member Don Samuels. The Biden administration approving a $20 billion weapons sale to Israel, tactical fighter jets, and air-to-air missiles. The USDA will expand testing for bird flu in beef, entering the nation's food supply. The decision comes as about 200 herds of dairy cattle have tested, at least a few of the cattle there have tested positive for the bird flu. Federal judge is siding with the city of Chicago in their legal battle with groups planning to protest during the DNC next week.
We are not giving up. We've got 6 days to get a semblance of a route that we believe the city will want to negotiate with us. We will get our permit for Union Park. We will have our protest.
The judge deciding not to force City Hall to alter the path that offered groups aiming to protest. The pro-Palestinian demonstrators now say they plan to appeal. Family and friends of a 13-year-old killed in a shooting over the weekend on Chicago's north side, remembering the teen, a vigil held last night for Ashwan Davis. There are cuts coming at the University of Milwaukee. University Chancellor Mark Moan yesterday said the school is looking to fire 32 tenured faculty members, mostly in the arts and humanities and math and natural sciences. Several of those branches of study are being shut down. UW Regents will eventually have to sign off on those firings. Cubs had just 5 hits in a 2-1 loss to Cleveland. White Sox back at it and falling to the Yankees 4-1. Little League Baseball's big event begins today, the World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. 20-team tournament has Hinsdale opening play Friday at 2 against the winner of the West and New England. That's New Hampshire against Hawaii. The news service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk explores the VP choice.
Now, on paper, you'd think that a Midwestern governor like Tim Walz, he's like a folksy Midwesterner, served as a member of Congress, governor of Minnesota. He's the safe pick. He's the safe pick if you want to now be described as the most liberal ticket in American history. It's effectively like choosing Bernie Sanders, and that is not an exaggeration.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you a driver of a Ford Power Stroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford Power Stroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage. The shop is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage specializes in Ford Power Stroke, Chevy Duramax, Dodge Cummins, Mercedes Sprinter, and Isuzu diesel engines and transmission repairs. At Remke's, they'll make your vehicle repairs convenient by offering a free commercial loaner vehicle.
Remke's Garage, where you won't spend $1,000 to fix a $100 problem. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at 800-5-REMKES or visit remkesgarage.com. Remke's Garage, your diesel headquarters.
Join Allie Beth Stuckey and the Illinois Family Institute for the Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet, 7 p.m. Friday, September 6th at the Tinley Park Convention Center. For tickets, go to illinoisfamily.org.
Christianity brings civilization, goodness.
Allie Beth Stuckey, wife, mom, author, followed by thousands on her hit Relatable podcast. Hear her fresh and firm call for Christians to lead in Illinois, in America, for faith, family, and freedom. For tickets, go to illinoisfamily.org.
Christians have always been on the front lines of human progress, set in love.
Allie Beth Stuckey and the Illinois Family Institute's Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet, Friday, September 6th at the Tinley Park Convention Center. For tickets, go to illinoisfamily.org, illinoisfamily.org.
After 30 years of doing knee and hip replacements, Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup thought there had to be a better way, and that led him to regenerative medicine.
I was one of the first orthopedic surgeons to do it.
Now, after 20 years of successful orthobiologic treatments, lots of clinical data, research, and teaching, Dr. Scheinkup is National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
They've done an amazing job of becoming the most significant orthobiologic and regenerative medicine practice in the United States. QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
So if you have chronic pain from arthritis and you want to avoid drugs and surgery, call the experts in this revolutionary field, QC Kinetics.
To give patients real lasting relief from pain, that's what I live for. That's my mission.
Get your free consultation now. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
$7:40, and let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Eden's right now, 20 minutes, Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Ike at 52, 390 to the old post office. Dan Ryan, 25, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and go on the Reagan I-88 between Route 31 and Eola Road. Traffic, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. With a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, it's possible to get 100% of your smile back while you save, on average, 90% for dental implants. Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. A pleasant day ahead, a blend of sun and clouds, high 86. Currently mostly sunny and 68. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Those memes you traffic in, Amy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right.
I see you posting on X and
yeah,
sharing with your friends.
I'm the meme queen, really.
Mm-hmm. They're killing the planet.
How is this hurting the environment, Dan?
Ian Hodgkinson is a professor of strategy at Loughborough University across the pond. Perhaps be better, more aptly named Lowbrow University. He's been studying the climate impact of dark data. I really started a couple years ago, says the good professor. I was trying to understand the negative environmental impact that digital data might have. And at the top of it might be quite an easy question to answer, but it turns out actually it's a whole lot more complex. But absolutely, data does have a negative environmental impact. 68% of data used by companies is never used again. And if we think, and he says, if we think about individuals and society more broadly, what we found is that many still assume that data is carbon neutral, but every piece of data, every meme you send, Amy, every piece of data, whether it be an image, whether it be an Instagram post, whatever it is, there's a carbon footprint attached to it. So when we're storing things in the cloud, we think about the white fluffy cloud, but the reality is these data centers are incredibly hot, incredibly noisy, and they consume a large amount of energy. Let me provide a little bit more color on cloud storage if you don't know what that is. And, of course, I turn our attention to tech guru Kamala Harris, the vice president.
So you're now no longer are you necessarily keeping those private files in some file cabinet that's locked in the basement of the house. It's on your laptop, and it's then therefore up here in this cloud that exists above us, right? Mm-hmm. It's no longer in a physical place.
That's not exactly right. But, deep thinkers.
Deep thinking there.
The one picture, going back to the professor, one picture isn't going to make a drastic impact. But, of course, if you maybe go into your own phone and you look at all the legacy pictures that you have cumulatively, that creates quite a big impression in terms of energy consumption. So I'll tell you, it's sort of interesting. I almost want to get on board with this just because now you could tell all of these keyboard warriors on social media that they're killing the planet, and the thing they can do to save the planet is shut down all their social media accounts.
That would be nice.
That's what Professor Hodgkinson tells us. For more on eco-supremacy in the presidential race, Steve Moore, a noted economist, author of Govzilla. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys. Dan, did you make up? Is that a real quote from Kamala about the cloud?
That's not AI. That's her. That's her explaining cloud storage.
That's classic Kamala. It's a cloud, and it's up there.
Yeah, it's up there.
It's
You don't file. You don't exceed. I don't know if you. I didn't know this until comment. We don't file files in like folders in filing cabinets in our basement anymore. We have these things called computers, and then the internet came, and then Princess Di started.
That started the whole problem because they use so much
The
energy.
dinosaurs died, and they turned into oil. Yeah, right.
So I have a couple of responses to this. One is that it is absolutely true that as we move further and further into the digital age, these technologies use more and more energy. Absolutely, the studies are correct on that. In fact, artificial intelligence is going to use like 5 times more energy than the internet did. So we are going to need. In fact, I'm an investor in data centers because we're going to need massive numbers of new data centers which collect and gather all this information in a quote cloud up in the air.
Well, that's why Steve, today I am calling for us to be meme free by 2030 in order to save the planet.
I like it. I mean, I think you have to take that to the Sierra Club.
Yeah, absolutely.
See if they'll sign on to that.
I'm going to roll it out at the DNC next week. Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's a great idea. I like the way you think. Now, here's the thing. There was just a study out that shows that this was the World Bank, and they've got some crappy information they put up, but this is pretty accurate. That there are still here we are in the year 2024, and there's still 1 billion people on the earth that still do not have access to reliable electricity. Now that is a health and welfare nightmare. I mean, this is the year this isn't 1924. This is 2024. And so what's happening, I want people to realize how sinister this climate change fanaticism is because it's deadly. It's killing people. So that what they're doing, all these foreign aid groups are going into these African villages that literally don't have electricity and telling them, build windmills. Don't use coal plants. Use windmills and solar panels and blah, blah, blah. And so you've got a deprivation of energy in these countries. They can't develop without this. People will die if they don't have access to electricity. They cannot get out of poverty if they don't have electric power. And it's so outrageous that these rich liberals in countries like the United States are telling these poor people in Asia and Africa, you can't have electricity because you're going to destroy the planet. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's outrageous.
Maybe they don't want electricity.
Oh, I think they want I think they want power. Of course, everybody does, because it improves your quality of life.
Of course it does. Electricity is the single greatest invention, arguably, in the history of civilization. And so here's how backward the left is. They're trying to deprive people of electric power. That is, I remember we had a blackout that lasted about 3 days in Northern Virginia, and it was like, oh my God, we can't possibly succeed with this kind of situation. Where my kids were literally climbing on the wall. So electric power is absolutely necessary, and everyone should have access to clean water and electricity. And these climate change idiots are going around saying the biggest problem is the temperature of the Earth is going to go up by 0.1 degree in the next 30 years. And, I mean, it's so distant from the realities of what people are facing right now. But I also saw a report, Dan and Amy, I thought this was interesting. Did you know income inequality causes climate change?
Oh, really? How?
Yeah, well, I couldn't quite understand the logic of it, but it's a very scientific study, so it must be true.
Okay.
It was published. Yeah, so if you tax the rich, you will get less climate change. Did you know that?
No, but I take it on faith, which is how you're supposed to take those things. I like this idea. I don't know if you saw this, Mr. Moore, but Harriet Hageman, she's the congresswoman who defeated Liz Cheney. She's proposed this for these eco supremacists.
What?
She gave a talk in Jackson, which is lovely, because she's in Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
She proposed a demonstration project. Let's put it to the test. Let's put the eco supremacists to the test for Boulder, Colorado, which is a way left Bolshevik town, wealthy. Pilot project that would strip Boulder, Colorado, of all of its fossil fuel infrastructure to be replaced with windmills, solar panels on the city's open space. You take out all their gas stations, take away all their internal combustion engines, their cars. We take away their highways and streets because that's oil and gas produced. They've been a no-growth city for decades. So they have a lot of open space around them. We fill out the open space with windmills and solar panels, and we see if they can actually run a city of 100,000 people with no fossil fuel infrastructure whatsoever.
I love that idea. And then, Casper, Wyoming could continue to use fossil fuels.
Yeah,
and we could see which.
Exactly.
No, I mean, that's a fantastic idea. Let's have the experiment. Let's have every. And by the way, the blue states are actually already doing this. So the blue states are adopting all these green energy policies. And guess what? On average, your electric utility bill, if you live in a blue state, is about twice as high as it is in a state like Florida or Utah or Tennessee that uses fossil fuels. So if you want this idea that, we can create green energy and it's going to be cheap and affordable. No, it's not. It's twice as expensive. So, and incidentally, I don't know if you read our hotline, but the price of natural gas is now $2. It's cheaper than water. So, and Evian, a bottled water, a 12-ounce bottle of water is $2.69, and natural gas is $2. So natural gas is now cheaper than water. Natural gas is clean burning, it's reliable, it's made in America, it's abundant. Why aren't we using natural gas? Why are they against natural gas? It's clean burning fuel.
Well, because they're happy to pay a little bit more for energy in blue states in exchange for this misplaced sense of moral superiority that they enjoy.
That's true, except that it's not just a little bit more, it's a lot more.
That's
true. And by the way, if they're willing to do that, that's fine. It's a free country. If you're willing, folks, to pay twice as much for your utility bill to go green, I'm all for it. I just don't want them to tell me in my town, in my city, we're not all Boulder, Colorado.
Indeed.
Right. So, Stephen Moore, inflation dropped below 3% for the first time since 2021. Your reaction?
Yep. Well, prices are still higher, 20% higher today than they were when Biden and Kamala came into office. And if you look at you and I have talked all about this a lot, Amy, over the last 3.5 years, that the price of the essentials, the price of groceries, the price of electric power, the price of your mortgage, your rent, your insurance, those are up 25 or 30%. There's also a study that just came out yesterday from one of the Federal Reserve banks that says Americans have record low amounts of savings. They have record high amounts of debt because average Americans can't afford the higher costs because their paychecks have not kept pace with the price of everything else. So inflation is up 20% and incomes are up 17%. So do the math. That means people are running a 3% deficit. And I've been getting so many calls, Dan, from, my Trump fan, people who are Trump fans, and they're so angry about what's going on because they think Trump's going to lose this election because he's not talking enough about the economy. The economy. That's how he's going to win. And to ask the American people, do you think, do you really want 4 more years of this? And if the people say, yeah, this has been worked out so well, we should have 4 more years of it, then Kamala's your woman.
Yeah, no, I think it should be instructive to him that Kamala is trying to present herself as a clean break from the administration she's a part of.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that should be instructive.
Yeah. And by the way, Dan, she has a plan. Did you know she has a plan?
Oh, what's the plan? To avoid the media until election day?
You're going to have to wait until after she's elected. But she has a plan. Not only does she have a plan, on day one, on day one, she's going to implement that plan. We're finally going to get inflation under control.
Yeah, I saw speaking of memes, this is the last one I consume. I'll consume, I promise, because I want to save the planet. But great meme of a fox standing on a podium speaking to a crowd of sheep and promising that if elected, he'll become a vegetarian. And that's basically the Kamala Harris campaign in a nutshell.
Send that one to me, Dan. I love that.
I will.
That's
All right.
And that's actually the problem is, you know who the sheep are? All of us.
Well,
We're the sheep.
That is the problem.
Hey, Stephen Moore, you're going to be at McHenry County, right? On Sunday?
I am. Are you going to come out there?
I am. But what time are you speaking?
Oh, I can't wait to see you, Amy. That'll be fantastic.
I'll be the tall
We're
blonde.
going to have a lot of fun, and I think we're going to get Trump to zoom in for that. And, we're going to try to – I know Dan's going to roll his eyes. We're going to turn Illinois red.
He's rolling his eyes, Stephen Moore.
I'm not rolling my eyes.
He's laughing out loud,
You're
Stephen
a funny,
Moore.
funny man, Steve Moore. Economist,
I didn't
Godzilla
say
author.
what year we were going to do it. Maybe by the year 2050 we may turn
Yeah.
Illinois red.
All right. I'll tell you, if you could do it in my lifetime, I'd be impressed. All right.
I
Well,
want everybody to go out there. What day is that, Amy? That's
Sunday. This Sunday. Anybody?
This Sunday. I will be there.
The 18th.
I'm glad I could tell you about your schedule.
Yeah. All
There you
right.
go.
Steve Moore will rally the faithful in McHenry County on Sunday. Thanks for rallying the faithful here today. Steve, thanks as always.
Okay, see you guys. Have a great week.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-504-8790. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-504-8790. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-504-8790.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center may not be available in all states.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Keene Jr. of the Mail House, Inc., a family-owned and operated digital print mail house with a specialty in political advertising and a customer of Signature Bank. We knew that getting a loan to buy our business wouldn't be easy, so we turned to one of our trusted friends for a referral. She told us about the outstanding level of customer service her business received at Signature Bank since becoming one of their first customers in 2006. Today, we couldn't be happier. Not only did Signature help us finance the purchase of the mail house, but they supported our growth as we modernized our operations in mailing as well as from traditional to digital printing. If you're looking for a great bank to grow your business, take a look at Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Fellas, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low testosterone. Don't wait. Get checked by the experts at Low T Center.
They have over a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results with testosterone therapy, or TRT. For established patients, they offer the convenience of physician-monitored at-home TRT with advanced, personalized plans that include both lab testing and self-inject medication. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, real quick, the Naperville JC's Last Fling is back from August 30th through September 2nd. Enjoy the last of summer in downtown Naperville with carnival rides, live music, and food vendors. Admission is free.
And you're doing a kissing booth there, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. For more information, go to lastfling.org. That's lastfling.org. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, former Virginia Attorney General and now the head of the Election Transparency Initiative, Ken Cuccinelli, joins us to talk about vote by mail and ballot security. That's 8:08.
Today it's going to be warmer, highs in the mid-80s. It's now 8 a.m. WYND Chicago.
More inflation monthly, less annually. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and the update just out for consumer prices for July.
Month over month, we came in up 0.2%. That was the forecast. Year over year, we came up 2.9%.
Fox Business Network Cheryl Personi says that's less than forecast and down from 3% in June. So it's the first time since 2021 that annual inflation is under 3%, perhaps enough for the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates next month. But Republicans keep pointing out prices are still much higher than 4 years ago.
Tomorrow, Vice President Harris will join President Biden for an event in Maryland just outside the D.C. suburbs focused on lowering prices.
Fox's Mark Meredith at the White House.
Today, former President Trump, he'll be talking about the economy in Asheville, North Carolina. It's a battleground state that Trump won the last two cycles. He's made the economy a central figure in his campaign, just like he did in 2016, insisting Americans can no longer afford to buy homes, groceries, or cars.
The New York judge presiding over the Trump hush money case, Juan Merchan, has for the third time rejected the former president's attempt to get him removing himself over the case over alleged conflicts of interest. Now, Merchan set sentencing for next month on the Trump convictions of falsifying business records. In South Carolina, the state Supreme Court has just agreed to hear Alex Murdaugh's appeal, alleging jury tampering in his case. He's in prison for life, convicted of murdering his wife, Maggie, and son, Paul. Israel took aim at Hamas in Gaza again overnight with airstrikes that Palestinian officials say killed 5 children along with 12 others. Tomorrow, a new round of peace talks begins, though Hamas may not take part.
Just yesterday, the United States approved an additional $20 billion in military assistance for the Israelis, as there are concerns in the region that Iran will attack Israel regardless of the outcome of the conversations tomorrow.
Fox's Trey Yingst and the Taliban celebrating taking back control of Afghanistan 3 years ago today as the U.S. withdrew. America's listening to Fox. 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 68 degrees and sunshine. And topping our news, a federal judge siding with Chicago City Hall leaders in their legal battle with groups planning to protest during the DNC.
We are not giving up. We've got 6 days to get a semblance of a route that we believe the city will want to negotiate with us. We will get our permit for Union Park. We will have our protest.
The demonstrators now say they plan to appeal. And security around the United Center continues to ramp up with the convention now less than 1 week away.
I'm confident that our plan will provide a safe and secure environment during the DNC.
Derek Mayer with the Secret Service. The DuPage County coroner is identifying 3 killed in an apparent murder-suicide last week in Woodridge. Jose Munoz and Moses Rogers were found shot to death last Friday. Now, a third man found at the scene has been identified, Terrence Suggs Nichols, who had suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound, according to the coroner. Evanston High School banning cell phones during class after teachers saw a major impact on learning and connection.
We were losing hours and hours and hours of instruction time. And maybe even more important than the instruction time, hours and hours of connection time.
Many school districts like Elk Grove Village established their cell phone ban in 2023. Cubs lost to Cleveland 2-1. Yankees beat the White Sox 4-1. The news, a service of Blue Star Security. Support our police and hire the police To personally protect you and your business, visit online at bluestarsecurityllc.com. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. It is a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Maria Bartiromo, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Wall Street will be reacting today to a major inflation reading, the Consumer Price Index for July. Fresh fruit and vegetable company Dole is reporting a better-than-expected quarter, and it's raising its forecast for the year. Elliott, the investment firm that pushed for changes at Starbucks, is also part owner of Southwest Airlines, where it now plans to nominate 10 candidates for the company's 15-person board. The Wall Street Journal says Elliott is proposing former executives from Virgin America and Air Canada. Apple's supplier Foxconn is reporting a better-than-expected quarter. Driven by demand for artificial intelligence servers, Foxconn is standing by its earnings for the year. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jim Coselda. Invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka knows exactly how the VP choice went.
We know who the Kamala campaign had chosen. It was the Jewish governor of Pennsylvania. A video had been leaked congratulating him, but it was not enough. His groveling to the pro-jihadi wing of the Democrat Party availed him naught because the Jewish governor was thrown under the bus.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Attention maintenance coordinators. If you manage an industrial facility, then you know how critical it is to manage a consistent maintenance staff. During outages, when you're short-handed, Vans has your back.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. Whether you need one person for 8 hours or a large crew for a month, we can supplement your maintenance team. Our personnel are trained mechanics familiar with all material handling processes. Our expertise extends to fabricating, sheet metal, millwright, and ironwork jobs. Our men can work alongside your repairmen, or we can provide an entire crew complete with equipment depending on your requirements.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics insured at the highest level to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to schedule your maintenance team. That's 833-VANS-IND. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Vans Industrial, working safe since 1964.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. That's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Roland's family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Roland's Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
For anyone living with everyday aches and pains, there's a lot of things you can try. You know, tough it out, bite the bullet, grin and bear it. Or you can try something that has helped so many other people, Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that addresses the inflammation where pain starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain for a short time. It helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. Wherever you're hurting, your back, neck, joints, or muscles, in about 3 weeks or less, you'll see a difference and rediscover what it's like to feel better and live better. So if everyday pain is affecting your life, don't go with the mind over matter approach. Try Relief Factor instead. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Outbound Ike. Outbound on the off-ramp to Route 83. You've got a rollover semi. The ramp is closed. Dan Ryan Express jamming up inbound 47th into the Stevenson and DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Heavy and slow northbound between Roosevelt and Monroe. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Today it'll be rather pleasant and a blend of sun and clouds, high 86. Clouds increasing, showers late tonight, low 68. Clouds are not as warm but humid tomorrow. Shower and a heavy thunderstorm, could see some flash flooding. High tomorrow, 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
68 at O'Hare, 69 Midway. Next news, 8:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, with early voting not too far in the offing. It'll be just about right after the first debate in less than a month, most states. Probably good to do a stop, look, and listen at where things stand in these all-important battleground states as it pertains to both the Republican and Trump campaigns' efforts to improve their vote-by-mail programs, as well as their ballot integrity initiatives. There was some indication from the recently concluded Arizona primary that, at least in that battleground state, Republicans are getting more comfortable with vote-by-mail programs. But for more on sort of the expanse of the landscape, pleased to be joined again by Ken Cuccinelli, National Chairman of the Election Transparency Initiative, and, of course, a former Virginia State Attorney General, former Deputy Secretary of DHS as well. Ken, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure to join you guys.
So, we were talking about this the other day. You know, we sort of see uneven actions being taken across some of the more relevant states when it comes to the election in November. You know, some states, like with Secretary of State LaRose in Ohio, are cleaning their voter rolls. Other states, and actually Youngkin in Virginia. And in other states, we don't see such action. Some states have tightened up some of the extracurriculars that were present in 2020, and some states haven't, particularly taking some instruction, as I sort of alluded to, from some of these primary elections. What's your handle? What can you share with us about first, vote by mail, and second, ballot integrity?
So first, on the vote by mail, I mean, your Arizona observation is correct. And I think the most important change on the right is frankly just that Donald Trump has gone from saying, don't do this, to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this has kind of given permission to a lot of people. And the reality in any of these methods of voting is if you want to win an election, you need to have a strategy to win every form of voting. And that was frankly suppressed by the Trump team in 2020 and badly. And it carried past 2020, as we saw in the Georgia special elections there on January 5th, not 6th, January 5th of 2021. Both of those Senate races were lost because we now know from polling that 3 times the margin of losing, like 240,000 Georgians, stayed home who were ready to vote for the Republicans, and they both lost by about 80,000 votes. So that attitude makes a huge, huge difference without ever changing the law. You mentioned Youngkin, and yes, he's done some things to clean up voter rolls, but when he was running to be a candidate in 2021, we have the odd year elections in Virginia. He said, look, I don't like these rules the Democrats have put in place because they'd confused them. But these are the rules. We need to win by these rules, and he did. And part of how he did was over 4,000 Virginians just volunteered to go become election officials, something everybody listening to you and me now can still do for their elections. And not poll watchers, but go in and literally work the election, count the ballots, run the poll books, etc. And so those human kind of mental shifts, cultural shifts, make a huge difference. Donald Trump and the Republican team have made a concerted effort to move their team into this game, if you will, and to get more early voting, to get more by-mail voting. I still have concerns about mail voting. One of them is just quite simply the post office has been telling people for years, hey, folks, we might not get your ballot there on time. I mean, they keep saying it while everybody complains about it, and they're not fixing that. People need to wake up to that reality. My preference is that people early vote. Otherwise, do the mail voting. By golly, do it early enough that the post office can screw it up and still get it there. And the whole system across the country, if we look at the whole country as one election system, is much better than it was in 2020. In 2020, I give America a D for that election. And I think nationally, we're up to a C+, and the swing states we're into B minus range. Almost all the swing states have gotten better. The major exception there is Michigan, which has gotten much worse. And that's been on purpose. The Democrats got control in Michigan. The progressive Democrats have run the table. They have both houses and the governorship, and they have intentionally reduced the power and opportunity for poll watchers. They have reduced auditing and transparency and security by law. So you ask yourself, why would you ever do that? Well, because you're clearing the way for people who would cheat. And so the margin of victory for Trump in Michigan is probably more than 4 points to overcome the margin of sloppiness and cheating. Normally, problems are just sloppiness, but in Michigan, they seem to be trying to pave the way, the progressive Democrats are, for cheating. And most other states, even where it's split, like Wisconsin, and the governor wouldn't sign anything, they got Zuckerbucks banned by referenda. And they were a terrible Zuckerbucks state in 2020. This is the private Mark Zuckerberg money that went in via nonprofits to election offices to essentially fund Democrat voter turnout. Well, that's been illegalized in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Virginia, and we can go around the horn, Arizona, over 28 states, including almost all of the swing states. Again, not Michigan. But things have improved a lot.
What about Pennsylvania? I mean, they want counties, they want to allow them more time to count the mail-in ballots and then just ballots in general on Election Day. I mean, what does that mean?
Yeah, I saw Governor Ron DeSantis' shot when the Pennsylvania election office kind of announced that. And just because nobody watches DeSantis' feed all day, right? But he pointed out, hey, watch America, third largest state, we're going to close the polls, and 1 hour later, we're going to put our vote totals up. And by golly, they do it, including in presidential years, and they get it right. Neither side complains. They're accurate. It's really a great accomplishment. And you compare that to Pennsylvania, where they're building in padding and time. And by the way, the left is doing this here, where the right does it in Georgia, but differently. They're saying, hey, electoral boards, you need to make sure that the number of voters matches the number of ballots. Seems simple, right? But that takes a little bit of time. And they're assuring it in Georgia, and the left is going crazy in Georgia. And they love seeing the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania kind of muddy the waters about ballots coming in that night. There's been this ongoing fight about ballots coming in after Election Day. You heard me say how bad the post office is. That's not getting any better between now and Election Day. So ballots are going to arrive after Election Day. Now, in a state like Virginia, I believe Pennsylvania has the same. If your postmark is prior to Election Day, then your ballot can be counted if it arrives in time. But where these fights tend to blow up, with part of what they're talking about in Pennsylvania, is they count ballots where there isn't a postmark at all, or there isn't a postmark from Election Day or before. And that, you're
it's right.
You're asking for trouble for that.
Right. So that speaks to the question of, okay, so you've identified these areas that are problem spots, these states, and I'm sure particular areas like Detroit, like Philadelphia, and maybe there are others too, like in Illinois, everybody knows Cook County, but in southern Illinois, there's a county called Jackson that also has a history with struggling to administer free and fair elections. So, in the states, the people know where the spots are. And so is the Trump campaign, or the Trump campaign in combination with the RNC, are they deploying resources based on those needs where they know that they've got trouble, and they've learned from 2020 that they need to be in real time, preemptive, not reactive after, like in Pennsylvania you were just describing, absentee ballots without the proper postmark and so forth being counted?
Yes. And boy, isn't that the truth. Let me zero in on one thing you said, is the proactive, not reactive. The biggest change at the RNC, and the only thing I've ever complimented the RNC over, because there's never been anything else, is that they have ramped up their offensive election litigation since 2020. They've filed over 80 lawsuits all over the country to do things like clean up voter rolls. When secretaries of state like Fontes in Arizona announce rules that aren't consistent with the law, the RNC is going in and suing. And to your point, Dan, if you do that after the election, it's already too late. Mm-hmm. You need to be doing this all 4 years. And for your listeners, the left has been doing this for 20 years. They have a 16-year head start at being proactive in trying to shape the election process. Now, in my view, a lot of what they're doing is trying to tee up races to win them unfairly, or in the mess of litigation, which, by the way, they're happy to create, because they still litigate more than the right. But the right is now, especially the RNC, is now actively proactive problem fixing instead of waiting till after the fact. And I can tell you, as a former state attorney general, if you have problems on or after Election Day, you only have about 5 or 6 weeks to diagnose them, figure them out, solve them, and you still have to certify your election, or declare that you're not going to certify the election. And getting a judge to say, no, we're going to redo this, is incredibly hard to do, just as a human matter. So it's really important to do this on the front side.
So the ultimate question, I think, that people want the answer to is, do you feel confident that the election administration in the swing states, combined with the actions taken by the RNC and the Trump campaign, means that there's no reason that Trump should have this election, quote unquote, stolen from him? That there's every reason that he can win straight up, and people who feel like the fix is in and they're going to find a way no matter what we do, that sort of that fatalism that's out there, that is misplaced.
Yeah, that fatalism will lose you an election before you ever get to counting ballots. And people need to show up and vote. And that's nothing happens without that. But yes, Dan, I'm a lot more confident that the systems in place, both by the campaign, Trump campaign itself, the RNC, other elements of the right of center world, like the Election Transparency Initiative that I lead, is part of a much larger coalition now that is actively engaging and doing things, simple things like showing up when they open the machines out of the warehouse and test them before they deploy any machines, even things like optical scanners. And at Election Transparency Initiative, we frankly don't think there should be any other machines other than optical scanners. But the reality is every locality and state uses different. And we're a lot more confident that it's going to be a lot harder to cheat and for problems to be skewed against President Trump than it was in 2020, where, frankly, it was all done beforehand to a degree that whatever else happened Election Day and after didn't even matter. Zuckerbucks alone and the Hunter Biden laptop censorship alone, each alone, flipped the race. That's without getting to all of the other problems about inconsistent ballot counting and all these other things that were or weren't going on in Georgia and Pennsylvania and Detroit and so forth. So
one other
we're a lot better off. Does that mean we don't have anything to worry about? No. But
right.
we have
it's always something to worry
really
about.
surrounded the universe of worry pretty effectively.
One other aspect, and this sort of came to the fore again this week because of the indictment of the founder of Smartmatic, and that is that the technology itself with the polling booths. Now, he was indicted for allegedly bribing Filipino officials to get contracts for their voting machines.
Right.
But I mean, you remember obviously all the talk of voting machines after 2020, and so I just and so if the charges against the founder of Smartmatic are true, it speaks to perhaps not the highest ethical standards being abided by the leadership at Smartmatic. And so the question about election technology, the voting machines, and that being a potential source of concern.
Yeah, it is a potential source of concern. It's why I use the example of showing up for the logic testing, it's called, for the opening of machines, so that they have both sides. And I really want everybody showing up, because the point of obtaining confidence means that everybody has confidence in the outcome of an election. And that means everybody's there to look at the opening and setting up of every machine so they can see its. We at ETI, Election Transparency Initiative, completely oppose the use of any machines of any kind that have modems or network connections of any kind. And in fact, the Election Assistance Commission, which is an advisory federal commission set up after, 20 years ago, more than that now, they also suggest that that's a basic good practice for states to avoid in this case. Now, every August, a bunch of hackers get together in Las Vegas and they make a run at voting machines of every kind. It drives the election community crazy because they're always successful. That doesn't mean it's necessarily easy, but they do identify weaknesses that will not be fixed by this election. They will hopefully be fixed by the next election. So you can question the timing of that event. But these are imperfect systems. It's why paper should be the gold standard. Whenever there are questions, we should go back to the paper. That's also why we support optical scanner as the only machines to be used. They're just counters. You use fill in the bubble and you use the counters. And they're the primary mistake, if they're made, is that people misalign the location of dots. But the pattern will typically give that away, and you can spot that mistake. And those are things that are part of what's tested in logic testing at the outset. And those machines should be tested as well. And the people listening and their equivalent Americans all over the country should be there for the testing. Get trained, know what to look for, understand the machines used in your area, and don't just complain about it. Show up and be there on the days, and they're publicly advertised, where the machines are tested. Every single one of them is being deployed. And so you can see for yourself that your own officials are following the law, that the machines are starting from zero, and you can ask all the questions you like at that point. A lot of election officials, Dan, unfortunately get all prickly when you start asking them questions because they get all defensive like you're attacking them. But those questions and answers are part of transparency, and they're part of educating the public about how an election is supposed to work when things go correctly, so that those same people, one, can say, hey, that worked correctly, but they also know what isn't correct, so that when there are problems, they can flag them. And a lot of the newly trained people, I'll use my Virginia example where I lived in 2021, who spotted the biggest problems, cheats, in fact, of hundreds of ballots, were spotted by those newly trained people who had never worked on an election before. They called it out in the largest county in Virginia, Fairfax County. Turned out the same kind of violating of the rules was going on in several other counties, and it was stopped on the spot before ballots were counted and before they were included in the count. And that's important because once a ballot goes in, it's awfully hard to get out.
Yeah, fresh eyes. Fresh eyes always helps.
Yep, fresh eyes. Amen.
Ken Cuccinelli, National Chairman of the Election Transparency Initiative, former State Attorney General of Virginia, and former Deputy Secretary of DHS as well. Ken, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you all, as always.
Thank you and have a wonderful day. And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hi, my name is John Stanton, founder of the Stanton Group WP. For over 20 years, I have been helping clients and their families plan for their personal definition of retirement. I'm offering to take a look at the plan you have in place now and see if it makes sense in a world that is in constant change. My practice deploys a core and protect risk management process designed to succeed in any market environment. We are fiduciaries legally required to act in your best interest. My team and I work for you every day to help achieve your personal financial goals. Let's talk. Call me at 630-445-2380 or go to our website, stantongwp.com, to schedule a complimentary consultation. That's stantongwp.com.
Investment advisory services are through Sequest Wealth Management, LLC, the advisor, a registered investment advisor. The advisor provides investment advisory and related services for clients nationally. The advisor will maintain all applicable registration and licenses as required by the various states in which the advisor conducts business as applicable. The advisor renders individualized responses to persons in a particular state only after complying with all regulatory requirements or pursuant to an applicable state exemption or exclusion.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. Since 1969, we've been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows. From modern to traditional styles, Marvin replacement windows and doors can bring your backyard right into your living space. Make your home feel brighter and more spacious. Our professional services, along with the best products like Marvin, are why we're proud of our 5-star reviews. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door experts in Chicagoland. Need new windows now? Buy now, pay later with 0% financing for 18 months. Terms and conditions apply. Visit woodlandwindows.com and schedule an appointment today. That's woodlandwindows.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
One other aspect of election tampering we need to deal with, which is the federal government, particularly law enforcement agencies, tampering, interfering with the election. Ben Weingarten, the editor-at-large for Real Clear Investigation, joins us to address that concern at 8:38.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
8:33, Ernesto pounding eastern Puerto Rico with torrential rain. Could strengthen into a hurricane later today. Former President Donald Trump holding another rally in North Carolina today.
Former President Trump's expected to travel from Florida to Asheville, North Carolina today. His running mate, J.D. Vance, will speak to a rally in battleground Michigan in Byron Center in the southwest region of Grand Rapids. Today's focus for the former president will be, of course, on the economy. On the other side, Harris's running mate, Tim Walz, did his first solo event in front of a union audience. Harris has no public events today, and her campaign has taken some heat for her limited activity. Trump and Vance in North Carolina and Michigan expect plenty more of that down the final stretch of this campaign.
Vice President Harris will travel to Raleigh, North Carolina on Friday. Federal judge siding with Chicago City Hall leaders in their legal battle with groups planning to protest during the DNC next week. The judge deciding not to force the city to alter the path it offered to pro-Palestinian groups aiming to protest. They plan to appeal.
Because it's going to cause all kinds of log jams, and people are going to potentially try to move onto streets that are more open. We've asked the police about that specifically, and they said those people would be subject to arrest.
Parking restrictions that popped up Tuesday were a big surprise to West Side residents, and Alderman Walter Burnett says that measure was not discussed in meetings with law enforcement.
That's insane and inhumane. And inconsiderate for people who live in this neighborhood.
The surprise parking ban was to be in place beginning at 8 a.m. today, running through 8 p.m. August 25, but already, according to Burnett, signs are coming down. The Illinois Department of Public Health confirming the first human case of West Nile virus in Will County this year, a resident in their 70s. Mosquito batches in 10 different Will County communities have already tested positive for West Nile. Following business this morning, Mars, whose brands include M&M's, Snickers, and Skittles, is buying food company Kellanova in a deal worth $30 billion, giving it access to a huge portfolio of consumer brands like Cheez-It to Pop-Tarts. Kellanova was created when Kellogg's split into 3 companies last year. Once complete, Kellanova will become fully part of Mars Snacking and will remain based here in Chicago. Cubs lost to Cleveland 2-1. Yankees beat the White Sox 4-1. Little League Baseball, the Hinsdale schedule at Williamsport begins on Friday at 2 p.m. against the winner of the West against New England, New Hampshire against Hawaii. The news, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher can't believe what he sees.
Such a consequential president of the United States, a Mount Rushmore kind of president of the United States.
Biden should go up on Mount Rushmore because he stepped down in utter disgrace as a failed, incompetent old man who let them pull the rug out from under him.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
This is David Hochberg with an emergency mortgage alert. After 2 excruciatingly long years, mortgage interest rates are finally starting to drop. And while 60% of our competition is no longer in business, Team Hochberg is ready to help you, your friends, family, coworkers, neighbors reduce their rate and monthly payments. I want to share 2 important facts. First fact, you don't have to refinance with your current mortgage company. Second fact, Team Hochberg's closing costs and interest rates are almost always lower than your current lenders. If you purchased a new home or refinanced your existing home within the past 2 years, please call Team Hochberg now, not when you get home, not tomorrow, not next week. Call us right now for a complimentary mortgage rate analysis, 855-563-2843, or visit our website, 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843, or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 112461.
As everyone can tell, we're living in turbulent times. During times of uncertainty like World War II and 9/11, people have often turned to God. In times like these, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville, Illinois reminds all Americans of the ancient promise found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This is not a political statement. It's a call to all God-fearing Americans to do as God's word instructs. America needs healing now. Whether you're for the guy on the left or the right or neither, everyone needs to heed the word of God as 2 Chronicles instructs us. May God bless all our leaders and God bless the USA. This message is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins on Route 59, Naperville, Illinois.
8:39. Let's get a quick update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Bank of America, powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America NA, copyright 2024. It's an hour 16 on the inbound Kennedy O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The I outbound and off-ramp to Route 83 shut down with a rollover semi. That ramp is shut down. Tri-State stop-and-go traffic northbound between LaGrange and 31st, and solid traffic on the Adams I-90 eastbound between Route 31 and Beverly. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. A pleasant day ahead, a blend of sun and clouds and a high of 86. Currently mostly sunny and 73. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, Stephen Colbert is funny again, at least when he has Klingon Collins from CNN on his show.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is.
Oh, I know. CNN makes a. I know.
Is that supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be, but even Stephen Colbert's audience knows that's a joke.
Right.
Right. Klingon Collins, was that supposed to be a laugh line? If she's giggling along, she should be ashamed. She should be embarrassed. Because that's what they sell. That's what they sell their viewership. That's what they tell each other. Nobody believes it. But it's just sort of an excited utterance. The audience couldn't help themselves. And Michael Schellenberger, the independent journalist, key figure in the Twitter files, delineation of all of the efforts by the government to enlist private actors, including tech companies, to do the censoring that they can't legitimately do. Schellenberger was on Laura Ingram's show, and he talked about how those protected by the First Amendment, the Fourth Estate, are the ones driving the deprivation of other people's First Amendment rights.
We keep seeing journalists being the people demanding censorship the most of anybody in society. You know, when we were trying to figure out why the White House kept demanding that Facebook censor true stories of COVID vaccine side effects, when we traced the paper trail through the FOIA requests and the information that came out, we discovered it was journalists who were demanding that the White House censor Facebook. And so here we see it again, but in real time, a couple of days ago. And then, yeah, just like you said, we see all these excuses that journalists are making for why Kamala Harris shouldn't talk to the news media. And then when Elon Musk and Donald Trump have 2 hours of live conversation, it's widely condemned. So it's basically a demand for censorship, a justification for Kamala Harris hiding herself and her agenda, and then a denunciation of the free flow of ideas. I mean, these are groups that are like religious sects demanding censorship from the Middle Ages.
Religious sects from the Middle Ages. Yeah, that's a pretty good comparison. Yeah, we don't need to hear from her, and we don't want to hear from you. I mean, I'm sure Elon Musk would entertain a 2-hour conversation with Mamala if she was so interested.
Well, she is going to give one interview by the end of this month, remember?
The Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, fresh off of her persecution of Donald Trump's business, she's getting in the act too. And this is where law enforcement officials like a state attorney general provide political cover for journalists to say, oh, it's not me saying it, but we're just reporting on Letitia James doing the dirty work. Why shouldn't she? She's insulated from electoral consequences. Letitia James, while misinformation has been a concern in past elections with the rise of generative AI barriers that prevent bad actors from creating deceptive and misleading content have weakened dramatically. And so she's calling on large tech companies to take meaningful steps to protect voters from election-related misinformation. Protecting people from information. Not trust. I mean, we've gone over this again and again and again, year after year after year, and yet there are still so many Americans who are so cavalier about their God-given constitutional rights as enshrined in the Bill of Rights. It's a bit depressing, and certainly you have bad actors. I'm not talking about purveyors of misinformation. I'm talking about bad actors like Letitia James and some of these disgraceful, phony journalists that are preying on that cavalier attitude of so many thinly informed members of the American electorate. For more on all of this, we're pleased to be joined again by Ben Weingarten, editor-at-large for RealClearInvestigations.com and senior contributor to The Federalist as well. Ben's Substack is Weingarten.substack.com. Ben, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
So the ongoing battle to fight back against those who consider themselves the vanguard of right and proper information that voters should have when they are considering who to vote for.
Yeah, of course. And, you described it very well, I think, in your open. It's really about suppressing ideas that challenge our ruling regime's narrative by casting them as quote-unquote dangerous dis, and malinformation, and propagating the ideas that the ruling regime wants to monopolize the narrative, to maintain or perpetuate a monopoly on political power. And cynically, of course, they use national security or public health or securing our elections and critical infrastructure as the pretext to impose this mass censorship regime, or stated differently, to engage in information warfare against the American people just because tens of millions of Americans don't like the policies that have been imposed upon us.
Yeah, we have to save democracy by shutting up people who disagree with us. I mean, it's a fascinating proposition, but the whole sort of safety, that whole sort of paternalistic attitude, we're protecting you from malign influences. It's amazing how much currency that has.
It is, and that one of the nefarious ways in which this manifested itself is in the idea of, well, there are foreign threats, and of course, foreign actors love to spread propaganda in our system. They love to interfere in our system, including, by the way, sometimes our purported allies, like this EU commissioner who threatens Elon Musk on the eve of that interview with Donald Trump. But they use that foreign pretext to then switch it around and make it a domestic one. And back in 2020, we saw, in the words of many of these censorship regime leaders, well, we don't actually really care about the attribution of the ideas that we dispute or that we disagree with. Even if it comes from a domestic actor, that's still a threat. And so we're going to treat your tweets, your offending tweets, like mini terrorist attacks on infrastructure, and use that as a justification to have the entire national security apparatus clamp down on you. And oh, by the way, to your point, also with the help of journalists, so-called journalists who have essentially become mouthpieces for the ruling class, third-party cutout academics, all of whom, they're just making passive recommendations, as if when the government comes to you and says, you better take a good hard look at this tweet or this Facebook post, it does so without the awesome coercive power of the government. And something I think we've talked about before, the Supreme Court case this term, originally Missouri v. Biden, which blew the lid off this censorship industrial complex, later named Murphy v. Missouri, the Supreme Court engaged in a massive, massive dereliction of duty in not coming down on the side of sanity and saying that when the government came to these social media companies directly and by proxy, the justices said, well, they were silent on whether or not this was a massive conspiracy attack on our First Amendment rights. And instead, they said that the people bringing the case didn't have standing to bring it. So when the Supreme Court punted on that decision, it gave a massive green light for the censorship regime to re-engage and re-emerge in 2024. And as I recently wrote about at The Federalist, the FBI now has codified their sort of processes, what they call their standard operating procedures for combating what they call foreign malign influence, but which, as we know, has been used to target domestic actors as recently as 2020.
So this time around, they're going to be more circumspect rather than directly making demands of senior level people at these tech platforms. They'll use like Michael Hayden's Operation NewsGuard and these other sort of third party actors who they don't need to provide instruction. You know what disinformation is. It's whatever, as you said, it runs afoul of the official narrative. And so go do your bidding. So then our fingerprints are off this altogether. We don't need to do the heavy lifting. That's why we have cutouts like Michael Hayden and NewsGuard.
Well, this time around, first of all, obviously, they have the experience of getting caught to a certain extent after 2020. So all the censorship regime actors will probably be far more careful in terms of the nature of their communications, where they're communicating, what kind of records or not are going to be generated. We've already seen foreign regimes who this administration, by the way, has allied with in terms of combating quote-unquote mis-dis and malinformation, who have put an awful lot of pressure on Elon Musk, certainly, and Twitter at minimum. So that's kind of a backdoor way to go about it. You use foreign censorship regimes to ultimately capture American speech. There are also in any number of states, you mentioned Tish James, Pennsylvania, for example, has said that its election authorities are going to work with federal authorities when it comes to combating mis-dis and malinformation. So I think you're going to see a state-level press to collude, coerce, and cajole the social media companies to do their bidding in suppressing speech. And obviously you have the actors that are already always operating, Google in the way that it tilts search as well as news and beyond. And then, last but not least, to your point, the FBI puts out these standard operating procedures, and they tell us we're going to be very rigorous about not targeting domestic speech. There has to be a clear-cut, articulable, coherent reason why we're targeting this speech. And, they make it seem as if it's going to be much more airtight this time around. But what evidence have they ever provided us that they're not going to target domestic actors? There's a really telling line in their note to the Inspector General of the DOJ where they've kind of disclosed what their procedures are going to be going forward, where they say they're going to make sure they do not investigate solely based on First Amendment protected activity. Okay, but what about non-First Amendment protected activity that you're going to use as a justification to go after speech? So they've let us know they have these standard operating procedures in place. Supposedly they're not going to target us this time without giving us any assurance or showing us that they've done anything to correct what they did last time around. And they have now cleansed that we're going to see the same thing we saw last time of the FBI working with having regular meetings with social media companies about quote-unquote foreign malign threats, doing outreach efforts to the social media companies, and also meeting with relevant stakeholders at every entity in the information ecosystem. What I'm describing is exactly what they did to groom social media companies in 2020 to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story. It's happening again, except this time I think they're going to be far more shrewd, far more surreptitious, and it's not just going to come from these federal authorities. It's also going to come from international authorities and state authorities as well.
Well, I used to play Christopher Steele is back. I mean, you'd think after he wrote, that dossier full of lies, but he was interviewed by the Times Radio, and he said that, these anti-immigration riots is going to have Russian involvement.
Right, and so this is going to mean you're not going to be able to talk about the fact that we've had an invasion over the last 3+ years. It's dangerous dis, and malinformation. We also saw, to that point, there was
inciting
this
hate.
UK,
Yeah.
right, and this UK police official saying, essentially threatening to make extradition demands. So one question that Kamala Harris won't be asked, but among the questions that she should be asked immediately is, would you comply with extradition demands from the UK or any other authority targeting Americans for their speech?
Yeah.
I think that's a fair question, and our leaders ought to answer that. And by the way, isn't it outrageous that none of our political leaders really said anything to defend Elon Musk and Twitter when this EU commissioner came out and attacked the platform? Isn't it a responsibility of our elected officials to protect American companies that exist to foster the free flow of Americans' protected speech? That's a pretty chilling observation that I think we ought to be thinking about in terms of what or what not our leaders are doing to protect our First Amendment rights.
Well, not only that, but as Schellenberger mentioned, the journalists leading the charge as opposed to being fulfilling their role as the fourth estate. I mean, they're leading the charge against people like Elon Musk. Which essentially folds them in as sentinels of the state, which we know the D.C. Press Corps has behaved as for some time now. But it's always good to take stock of it. Ben Weingarten is editor-at-large for RealClearInvestigations.com. He's a senior contributor to TheFederalist.com as well, and you can get his writings at his Substack, weingarten.substack.com. Ben, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? The IRS won't quit until they get your money. Here's great news, fresh from those in the know. Major changes have happened at the IRS. If you owe more than $10,000, you may be eligible for a 99% reduction of what you owe. Haven't filed a return for a while? Their happy clients are talking.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Need relief from crushing tax debt? The IRS now has special programs. Guardian Tax knows all about them. Personal or business, this is the fresh new brick you've been hoping for.
We aren't the company you call when you need a hug because you're scared of the IRS. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to work with. They really help me out. I'd recommend them highly.
Call now for a free confidential consultation. 800-277-7310. 800-277-7310. 800-277-7310.
Fellas, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low testosterone. Don't wait. Get checked by the experts at Low T Center. They have over a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results with testosterone therapy, or TRT. For established patients, they offer the convenience of physician-monitored at-home TRT with advanced, personalized plans that include both lab testing and self-inject medication. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
In 2012, the Journal of Cognition and Emotion published a study that showed that we make a decision to trust a person within 100 milliseconds of seeing their face. Making a good first impression has never been more important, and you can make that positive impression with a professional headshot from Tom Killoran Photography. Whether you're a job seeker trying to land your next position, or you're looking to build your business by connecting with prospective clients and customers, you need a high-quality headshot to use with your resume, portfolio, website, or other marketing materials. The experts at Tom Killoran Photography can work with you to capture the exact look you need for your professional presentation. Tom Killoran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see a sample of their work, just visit KilloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN Photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Killoran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Illinois and Wisconsin patriots, come out to the greatest Trump rally of 2024. Support President Trump and help save the American dream. Join thousands of great Americans as we rally for Trump on Sunday, August 18th, the day before the Democratic Convention, from noon to 6 at the McHenry County Fairgrounds. It's an afternoon of music, fun, and messages from many of President Trump's most trusted advisors and closest friends, including Charlie Kirk, General Flynn, Steve Moore, and Kimberly Fletcher of Moms for America. Your MCs for the event will be me, Gary Rabine, and Sean Thompson. There will be many surprises, more all-star speakers, and well-known music groups to come. Join us as we rally for President Trump at the McHenry County Fairgrounds on Sunday, August 18th from noon to 6. Get your tickets now at paradingfortrump.com. That's paradingfortrump.com. Profits go to efforts to elect Trump as our 47th president. Paid for by the American Dream PAC. Thank you to our sponsors, Rabine America and Peerless Fence.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, we got to get you out at that event on Sunday.
Yeah, try to break me out of my friendship recession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. You can meet new friends.
Yeah.
All right, great show today. As always, thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. Couldn't do it without them. Now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A federal judge sides with City Hall leaders in a battle over DNC protests. Rosemont enacts a ban on sleeping in public. WIND Chicago News Time, 9 o'clock.
This hasn't happened since 2021. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Under 3% inflation. The annual rate inched lower last month, better than expected.
The Consumer Price Index rose 0.2% in July. The increase followed a decline in June. However, for the year ending in July, the CPI nudged under 3% to 2.9%.
That's Fox's Ginny Casola. President Biden just put out a statement saying we're making real progress fighting inflation, but he says prices are still too high, blaming large corporations sitting on record profits not doing enough to lower prices. Now, he and Vice President Harris, who replaced him in the 2024 Democratic race, will be at an event tomorrow in Maryland focused on lowering prices.
A new poll out this morning from the Financial Times and the University of Michigan's Ross School of Business says 60% of voters want Harris to abandon Bidenomics. As former President Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance travel battleground